There's a Lawless humming us in there for once.
Oh, you can hear me.
Hey, do you know what? Normally, StreamYard mutes your mics and you play an intro, but we can hear you humming the whole way through that one, Lawless. So welcome back, everybody. Straight Facts on Friday. Feels like Christmas is well and truly gone now. We're kind of back to a normal pattern. Welcome to the boys. Welcome to everyone tuning in. Please hit like buttons. I know a lot of you have done so already, but get that done now and subscribe. And a big shout out to our title sponsors, Hello Fresh. You can get up to 60% off of your first order, 20% off of your next two, and free desserts for life by scanning the QR code now or clicking on the link that's in the live chat. Go and check it out. Trust me, you can get 2 meals a day, okay, for four people for a week for £26. It's ridiculously cheap, cheaper than the supermarket. It's really good food. So go and take a look. Gentlemen, how are we all? We well? We good?
Good.
Good, man. Good to see you twice in 1 week, eh? What's going on?
I know.
I've seen too much of you guys already.
It feels like such a long week, too. Like, I just forgot that we did a show on Tuesday.
Yeah, it does feel like ages ago, didn't it, that show?
I know, right? Because
we were all
off.
Well, this is the first real Straight Facts, as in normal day, normal time, normal cast for over 2 weeks now. So, yeah, it's like...
Yeah, we didn't do last.
It's crazy. It's been crazy. But... Yeah, there's loads to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, we're talking about transfers. I want to get the boys' opinions on some links surrounding multiple clubs. Arsenal and Marmoush, Arsenal and Nico Williams. Should they? Will they? Could they? We're going to break it all down for you. If you don't like transfer talk, go and watch another YouTube channel now. We're going to be obviously previewing the weekend's games. Big weekend, a tough test for Chelsea. Arsenal go away to Brighton. Of course, Man United go to Anfield. The toughest game really and truly for us in any season. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. That game is to come as well. So much to talk about. Obviously, we want your views and your opinions as well. And get your comments in, get your super chats in, member chats, all of that jazz. Let's do it, people. But I do have a statement right at the top of the show. And I don't know how this is going to go down, but I'm going to make it anyway. Barring match reactions and transfers, I suppose, I will no longer be giving my opinion on most things Man United, namely the rebuild of the club. Anybody has any questions, just give your own opinion. I will no longer be... I will host the conversation. I will ask you the questions. If you give your opinions, what do you mean by this, etc. I will no longer be debating or talking about Man United's rebuild on the Football Terrace for the foreseeable future. I've decided... there is no point. I've decided it's not good for my mental health, amongst other things. So if you've got an opinion, just say it. I'm not even going to challenge it, by the way. So I'm not even going to challenge anybody's opinion on the rebuild, on what Man United are or are not doing. Speak freely. I'm going to let it all go because I've had enough. It's done for me. I am over it. Like you would not believe. Like you would not believe. Like you would not believe. I am honestly done with it. So we will discuss Man United. And as I said, match reactions and transfers I'll do. But anything to do with the rebuild, the direction of the club, sacking managers, not sacking manager, I'm done with it. For the foreseeable, I'm done. I'm absolutely done.
Interesting. I was going to say, it'd be very interesting how that plays out. But yeah, the state of the club in terms of performances and squad, you'll talk about that, right?
I'll talk about individual games, and were we good, were we bad? Preview games, will we win, will we not? Absolutely. But what I don't want to do anymore, and I'll tell you as to why. I won't hide it. People ask me hundreds of questions, which is fair, but they're not looking to have a conversation with me. They're looking to hear my opinion to say you're wrong and then give me theirs. Just give me your opinion. I just want to save a lot of time and a lot of energy. And this isn't no victim thing because I'm not offended by it. I'm just tired. I'm tired of people asking me questions about my club like they don't have an answer or don't know the answer just to say, no, that's not true. You know, like when you get home late and the missus says, what time did you get in last night? And you go, oh, I'm in trouble here. You go, 1 a.m. No, it wasn't. It was 3. Then just tell me I got in at 3. You don't need to try and trick me. Just give me your opinion. So that's kind of where I'm at with the Man United conversation, as it were. It's just, if you want to say we're stupid for re-signing Maguire, say it. Don't ask me what I think, just to go, you're wrong. And then give me your opinion anyway. So just say your opinion.
Is this you basically saying, Terry, that you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel? Because that's what I'm smelling right now. That's what I can smell from what you're saying. I can't lie.
No, what it is, and it's a very good point to be fair, and I'll answer questions on this subject because I have to give clarity. You will know what I think about this rebuild. You will know how long I believe it's going to take, that there's going to be ups and downs, and that I believe there's a very good chance we come out the end of it looking good, but it's going to take time and there will be mistakes. What I don't want to do is keep debating the conclusion 2 or 3 years prematurely after every single decision that's made. So individual decision, oh, do you think it's Luke Shaw being a party, right or wrong? I can give an opinion, but do you think this is going to damage the rebuild? I'm not going into it. I'm not talking about it. I've given an opinion. I've stuck by it. And I must say in the last 2 weeks, my opinion, what do you think of the rebuild has been asked of me 15 times. You want to know, go and watch the content. It's there. I can't keep repeating myself over and over and over and over and over again about the same thing. That's
basically
what
you're saying time will tell, basically. You're saying time will tell is what you're saying.
I'm saying absolutely, but not as in I don't believe in it or there's a problem with it. It's just a case of, let's say you think it's going to fail. 1 or 2 mistakes this early doesn't prove you wrong or right. Say you think it's going to be successful. 1 or 2 good decisions early on doesn't prove you right or wrong. It's a tired. I've seen the newspapers all week. There's been 72 articles now about us being relegated. Okay. There's been over 100 articles about the rebuild in the last few weeks. That is, by the way, more than 60-1 on a pro rata basis against like articles against the Glazers' poor run of the club for the 19 years prior. So for me, I'm just tired of the conversation. If you want to give an opinion, I'm not going to shut it down. I am just not talking about it anymore.
So when's the next checkpoint then? Is the next checkpoint in the summer? Because we're hearing United haven't got any money to spend, right? In the summer, Terry, that's a good point for us to have a conversation again.
So to your question, this is what I'll do when people ask me that. So do you think Man United have money, and what do you think we'll do spending wise, Don?
In January, I don't think you're going to spend like that. I'll be honest with you. But in the summer, I expect you to spend like that, right? I have to give the same expectation I gave to Clear Lake as well, bro. Ineos,
right? You just said they don't have money, though, Don. Didn't you just say they don't have money like that?
No, so I'm saying when's Terry's next checkpoint? Because I'm not going to pressure him to say, oh, what do you think you're going to do in January? Because realistically, I don't think they're going to do much anyway. Most clubs don't do much in January anyway, as it is. So I have to be fair, right? So what I'm saying is for the next checkpoint, it has to be the summer when Terry has to have these conversations again. We have to look at that summer and say, yo, United have done this and done that and done that. Because the last summer that just went, a lot of Chelsea fans were bigging up their window more than ours. You know what I mean? So I think that's a good enough checkpoint to start having those conversations again, Terry, in the summer.
Well, again, I think I'll talk about whether I think it's a good signing or not. But as you've just said, there are some summers where a team will sign 5 players and everybody goes, wow, they won the window. You fast forward 2 months and we go, fucking hell, that's a shit window, weren't it? And that team that look how good we all thought West Ham window was and how good West Ham are going to be this year. That hasn't happened. I'm talking in generals here. So my point is, I'll talk about the signings. That's good, that bad. But if someone says, Terry, do you think you'll spend? For the last 6 summers running, the media have said we've had anywhere between 50 to 100 million to spend. We've always spent double, if not 3 times the amount. I cannot and will not. So people can say you can't take the heat. It's not about not taking the heat. I'm not having the same mind-numbing shit. Why do you think United can still attract players? We've been attracting players forever. That's why. You know, if you want to make a statement that we won't sign, we can't attract a player, you just say it. You don't need my endorsement. You don't need me to say, I think we can sign good quality players. You don't need me to say that. We've had this conversation for a decade. I'm not doing it anymore. So I'm just not doing the same, what I call lame brain conversations. I'll answer. If you say to me, Don, tell what do you think of the Gyökeres signing? I'll talk about the player individually. If you say, do you think this is going to make you win the league? Come this summer? No, I'm not even going to entertain the conversation because we know we're not winning the league next year. So for me, it's just a case of I'm not going to get into talks about the long-term future of the club because we're not going to have answers for it until 2 or 3 years' time. And I've just become bored of it, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, but that's where content's got to, though, man, Terry. You're gonna have a lot of people trying to catch you out and clip you up, and you know what I mean. It's annoying, but at the same time, that's why we've got shows like today where we could just sit down and actually, talk. I know Lawless can be shameless at times. I can be shameless at times.
I get that. You say that. You say that, Don. But again, I think what we should really be doing on these shows is each of us we should challenge each other's opinions, but not the same opinion. But not the same opinion every week. So
Yeah,
I know,
yeah, yeah. I get that. I get that.
I know you trust in Clear Lake. Okay, so for instance, you losing, not winning one of your last 3 games, it is pointless and mind numbing for me every time you drop a point to go. Do you still believe in Clear Lake? Do you still?
Yeah,
You just.
that's why you're spot on. You're spot on when you
Exactly.
say that, because already now the past 3 results, you're getting those conversations again. You know what I'm
Boring.
saying? And I'm not partaking in those conversations. So you know what, Terry? Fair enough. Fair enough.
I just that's what you've just felt in your own head. You're on. You know, I get it. That's where it's at for me. Everyone knows my opinion on the takeover. I don't need to keep expressing it. The people ask me the questions. If it's someone new who's never been on, never worked with them, I will make I'll say okay to that because they don't know, right? If I was to do an interview on the BBC and they asked me, I'd speak to them. But it's people that I stream with regularly or viewers that are watching every show, I'm just not answering the questions anymore. Just if you think it's bad, tell me it's bad. I'm great. Like I'm not going to keep having the same argument and the same debate every single week, every single show. Honestly, I'm at a point where I do find it mind numbing. And that's not a dig. It's just the way I'm at with it. Same as the Clear Lake stuff. Like there's a lot of criticism last year when things were going wrong. You've improved. I don't think the last 3 games for Chelsea is an indication that your owners are doing a terrible job. I don't even think there's any correlation. It's just a little blip of form, which is typical for football teams, in my personal opinion. So, yeah, no, I hear you on that. Speaking of Man United, I did want to get your view, Staffy. Some interesting news has circulated, loads of news, really. The first bit being Ahmad's very close to signing a new deal, and Maguire's had a 1-year extension. What's your thoughts on both those things, mate?
Yeah, I saw Emmer spoke about that in his press conference. He got asked about their situation. They've been saying for a while that Ahmad's contract is very close, and you know it's not really new. I just need to see it get done because realistically, you don't really want your best players, any players in general, especially your best players, getting into the last year of their contract without having a new contract. Obviously, I'm not criticizing. I'm not comparing Ahmad to how big Salah is to Liverpool as an example. But you can see as an example how long it's been going on in the Liverpool fan base and in the news. The fact that he still hasn't had his contract renewed. Obviously, it's much worse for them because Salah is a Liverpool legend, is a Premier League legend, so it kind of makes it worse. So historically, big clubs don't really wait until their best players get into the last 2 years, let alone the last year of their contract without knowing what's going to happen. So just get it done. The kid loves the club anyways. We've seen him after that Manchester derby when he scored the goal. How many times he tapped the badge and kissed the badge. He wants to be here. I think he believes in what the manager's trying to build and the way he's been using him since Ten Hag left. So if he could get it done, just get it done ASAP so we can avoid these type of questions in the press conferences. As of Maguire, this one is going to be a little bit more it's going to divide the fan base a little bit. We did speak about this. When was it there? Last Straight Facts? Obviously not the one on Tuesday.
I think it was sort of 2 or 3 of them ago. Yeah, about 2 or 3.
Yeah, remember we spoke about that. And I said, listen, I can't judge Harry Maguire in 2025 now. I said 2024, but now it's 2025. I said I can't judge Harry Maguire today like I did 3-4 years ago because he's much better than he was. I understand why he got his contract renewed. I'm not that opposed to it. Ideally, I know the club wanted to renew him for at least 1 more year, but for lower wages. He's on what, 190. They wanted to keep him for 1 more year, but on a little bit lower wages. This way they can use these wages towards someone else because we need to sign a lot of players. He's been decent over the last 18 months. And I said this before, and I'm gonna say it again. We need to sign a lot of players in January and in the summer. If you can somehow have players that, number one, the manager rates, number two, they don't complain about being bench players, number three, they're reliable whenever you tend to use them, then go ahead and keep them. It's not like Maguire's going to be here for the next 4 or 5 years. He's just going to be here for 1 more year while we get rid of some other people that need to go. Lindelof needs to go first. Evans needs to go first. We probably need to sign a starting center back to begin with. So while we addressed bigger issues, he will just be sitting there on the bench, being a good character in the locker room, as a lot of players rate him. He has good relationships with everyone. He doesn't complain about not playing as much anyways. And every time he comes on, he tries to give his most. He's going to be the least of our worries. So again, it's not that I'm saying, oh, I really, really, really wanted Maguire to stay. but you have to prioritize your issues. And to me, him staying for one more year is not that big of an issue. So I'm okay with him staying one more year. No problem at all.
Yeah, I am. I suppose it's the Ahmad really happy, really happy. But I want with Ahmad, I want Man United fans to wise up. There's too much pressure being put on. I know he's not a kid, he's 22. Like, he's not a baby in that regard. But I see a few United fans the last few games. Oh, he hasn't delivered like in the City match. Slow down. He's 22, but he doesn't have the experience of a 22-year-old at the highest level. And I think we've got to slow down. I don't want Ahmad to be our savior. I want him to be a young player that's nurtured. We've got to bring in players like Gyökeres as an example to do that. On Maguire, I never thought I'd say this a year ago. I want to see Lisandro Martinez lead before Maguire right now, because I'm looking at players that fit the system that we're playing in. I'm looking at the way we're structured, and he's doing a better job. Do I think Maguire is the savior of the club? No. Would I like to see him stay long term maybe on a heavily reduced deal as our 4th or 5th choice centre back, as an example, with 3 at the back? But yeah, I'm okay with it. Again, I've seen a lot of people having meltdowns online, but we've got a lot of players to remove this summer. And I think if you can extend him for a year, it relieves a headache in the short term, because we can't do a full squad overhaul in one summer. So I didn't think it's that bad. I'm seeing some people panic and go crazy online, but those people, I think
the manager rates him at the end of the day. He likes him, and as we said, it's only 1 year. So while you address bigger issues, we have much bigger issues in this club than a backup center back. Because as I said, we will eventually need to sign a starting center back. And you know what's crazy? As bad as Martinez is, he's still not one of the first priorities to leave the club. And he's been shocking, because I'm looking at some positions, and we say this, I think you know what? I probably need to do what you do, Terry. And I'm not going to keep repeating myself. If people ask me the same questions, I'm just going to say, go watch the last episode of Straight Facts, because I already spoke about that. We need a midfielder, we need a left 10, and we need a left wing back before we get a center back. And we need a center back. That just shows you how bad our priorities are right now. We desperately need these 3 positions first. And you can argue we need a striker before we need a center back. So imagine, as much as I'm saying the center backs is horrible and we need a center back, I still don't put it even in the top 3 or 4 priorities.
No, you're right.
That's just how much we need to do first.
No, you are right. And that sort of brings me on to the other question, gents. So the big talk the last 2 days coming out of Portugal and coming out of England, that United, there is definitely a necessity to have to remove players before we buy. That isn't really transfer fee based. It's more to do with the wages. Rashford's head's on the chopping block. He's out ill again for the game. So for all the talk that they've been impressed with him in training yesterday from certain media outlets, today he's sick again. So he's been sick twice now and missed 2 squads. I don't think anybody's buying him being sick. They clearly want to move him on. There's talk that Xerxes could be quite close to going back to Italy. But the links are Man United are looking at Viktor Gyökeres to bring him in now. It would be 60 million in the summer. The buyout clause now in January is 80 million. Do you think, gents, that would be a sensible move for Man United to try and add that additional firepower into the team sooner rather than later?
Go on, Lawless.
Oh, yeah, no, I thought you was twitching. Yeah, look, I think honestly, like you said, you've got a lot of issues to deal with, and the fact that you've got a sell to buy is huge. But if you can get a player like Gyökeres in, who obviously has interest from likes of Arsenal, and you can get that in now, whether it's your most pressing need now, that's another question. But if you wait until the summer, you might miss out. So you've got to strike while the iron's hot. I don't know if it just magically solves all the issues, but Højlund, I rate Højlund. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's the finished article yet. So if you can maybe get someone to come in and have a little bit more competition up front.
You rate him. What do you like about him?
What, Højlund?
Yeah.
Great question, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's finishing, and his work rate seems to be good. Obviously, he's got work on. He's not, like I say, he's not the finished article, so he's not this prolific Haaland. But I think there's potential there. Like,
what is it about his finishing that you like?
Well, just in terms of, like I said, his movement in the box, and just the fact that Yeah.
That's one of his worst attributes, actually.
No, I think his movement's good. I think he's mobile. Like you got to realize of what we're looking
Have
at.
you watched
I'm
him,
looking from
Lawless?
a lens of who
I don't think you watched it, bro.
I haven't watched.
I agreed with him when he
it.
said his finishing. His finishing is actually not that bad. His
his
runs are
finishing.
horrible.
I
That's
think
actually
he's
one of his
consistent,
biggest
if anything,
criticisms.
Staffy.
Well,
I think
no,
his-
but
I think
what
his
I'm
finishing is
talking
consistent.
about in terms of like what we're looking at West Ham and what I see, I'm looking at the likes of like Fulkrug or Antonio as he is now and Danny Ings. Like, so you've got someone there that is young and mobile, a mobile striker. You know, in Højlund. You don't like Højlund, Don?
You know what? When he first came, I was saying to Terry that I would swap him for Jackson because I was
But you
looking
don't
at
like him.
No, listen. The more I've watched him, the more I see more weaknesses than strengths, bro. You know, I'm not writing him off completely because he's a young player and
He's young. That's what I'm
he's in a-
saying.
he's in a
So I
team.
don't know why you're like. I don't know
he's in
why
a
you're
bad-
on his arse, man.
he's in a bad team. He's in
player.
a bad team, but I don't see him offering much. I don't see him offering much.
You
Like
don't
the main
think there's
thing-
potential there. You don't think his potential.
Listen, I think everything for Rasmus has to be perfect for him to work. You know what I'm
But
saying?
you don't
That's
think he has
why-
potential to develop.
He's got a potential to develop because look, he's got the attributes to be a good striker. You know, he's tall, he's physical, but he doesn't know how to use his body. For me, in the box as well, I think his movement's not great. You know what I'm saying? I think he's quite reactionary instead of being proactive. You know, he doesn't really sniff danger enough for me. You know what I'm saying? I think his finishing itself is overstated. There's a couple chances that I've seen him miss where I'm like, yo, you should be at least even testing the keeper there. You know what I'm saying? And overall, I think he just doesn't link up play well. Away from the goals, if he's not scoring enough goals, I don't see him doing enough up there. You know what I'm saying? I just see him grappling with defenders, you know, not using his body well, like I said, for a guy that's quite physical. He's just not it right now. And like I said, I can only see him developing in a place that's more, you know, ready-made, and maybe a team like Arsenal, for example, where they've got a system already. You know what I'm trying to say? But right now, I'm not seeing it, bro. I see way more weakness.
Are they not selling Højlund? Are they?
Say that again, bro.
Probably not
They're
gonna
not
sell.
selling Højlund. Are
No. Højlund isn't the one on the chopping block. I mean, it looks like Xerxes. I still stand by what I said the other day. I understand that not everybody was cheering and or booing for the same reasons, but I didn't like the way he was treated. However, I still don't think it's becoming clearer and clearer that Xerxes was somebody that was brought in under the guise of Ashworth, where they thought we will build a structure for Ten Hag and we will make this work with what we've got. And obviously people have lost their jobs and their heads have rolled for making those decisions.
It was before
Sorry?
that. Ashford didn't sign. It was before that.
Xerxes. I'm talking about Xerxes.
Oh, my bad. I thought you said
Yes,
Højlund.
sorry, yeah. I'm saying, so I think that Xerxes will be the one who will go first. I feel like with Rasmus, what I find really interesting is when he was linked to us, again, I like to look at what rivals say. Man United fans can be all fans can be biased about their own clubs, including me. He was a name that was in the chat of my shows, transfer shows, when strikers came up for about 18 months. He was someone that loads of people liked, loads of people rated. I feel with him.
Before you land, Terry, remember I was telling you that he looks hella clunky to me when I was watching his games.
No, and I understand that. I watched a bit of him, and I used the same thing as you, Y Scout, and I saw a player that had. Again, when I say good, I'm talking about someone that I'm not talking about the best in the world, but I saw someone who could hold the ball up, who had great speed. They just go onto Y Scout and look at him dribble, and he'd pick the ball up in the channels, and he would run up fullbacks. And I just thought, well, there's a really good a really good, talented young player to develop here. Maybe slightly overpriced, but there's a player in there, and he's just not progressed in any capacity. However, I can't remove from my mind the fact that 99.9% of all players we've signed haven't progressed. So I got inspired the other day by Staffy that said about not Greenwood. We said about Xerxes, like have the same energy. So I have the same energy for all Man United players, whether I think they're the best technically or the worst technically. If the club ruins the technically gifted footballers, what the fuck's it doing to the less talented people? Must be, for me, it's worse for them, right? Because they've got less ability. I feel like, and this is what I said earlier about Ahmad. Ahmad shouldn't be being propelled into being our star and being the leader and being the talisman. He's too young and inexperienced. He should be someone that is a complement to the core of this side. And I think Rasmus has been thrown in as the number 9 too early in his career, a team that was playing dead football with the volume of pressure. And I think it's really, really hurt him. Now, some will say, no, Terry, you're wrong, and he's just trash. Fair enough. Not having the debate. I've got my view, you've got your view. We'll see it differently. But that's why I want someone like Gyökeres. And some people say, you got, what about the development of this? No, listen, we need someone who is 25. Remember what I said about Chelsea all summer, Don?
Mm-hmm.
You guys need players that are 24, 25, 26, 27. They're experienced to help some of your youngsters. And that is what Man United need to do. So for me, I actually do think a goal scorer is that and a left-sided wing back, I think, are the two most important positions for us to address in this window. There are other important positions, but the two I'd put on the top is we need some goals. A number of these defeats we've had recently with a bagsman, I don't think we lose all those games. Someone that converts those chances, and the lack of threat on our left now. Ironically, the left-hand side of our attack was our most dangerous in the last 5-6 years. It's where most of our attacking talent was, whether you liked it or not. We have zero down the left now because Delo can't attack down there. Mazza can't attack. We have no one. Malacia is just not going to... I don't think Malacia is ever going to get to the level that we want him to. So we have to address those two areas for me. But I don't... I like the idea of Gyökeres because he's really talented. But again, he's quite young still. And there's a little bit of a lack of experience. If we can find someone, and I haven't done the research into who exactly, who is 24, 25, 26 years old, got a good amount of experience at the highest level of the game, I feel like that age profile of player is so important for Man United moving forward. There are some kids you want to sign, right? Some youngsters that are really talented, but I think we need some older players to help our youngsters. I don't want Ahmad and Mainu being the core of the team. It's ridiculous giving young players. Not
necessarily older, Terry. We need players that are performing. But before we move on from this, I mean, back to the Højlund point. One of the biggest issues with Højlund, and this is why I was kind of surprised that you said that, Lawless. Højlund, I know a lot of people still think he doesn't get enough goals just because they don't feed him the ball. You just have to wake up and smell the coffee now. It's really not it. And I've been saying it for well over a year now. So I'm staying consistent with it because I've been proven right. If I ask you guys right now, I'm not going to even ask you because you're never going to guess it. Højlund right now is averaging 1 shot per game in this United team. And that makes him rank 7th in the team. Garnacho has more. Bruno has more. Casemiro, who barely plays, has more. And funny enough, Xerxes is averaging more. Xerxes takes more shots than him, and Xerxes actually has more GA than him. And I don't think neither of them are good enough, by the way. But Xerxes, if I would have asked you right now without knowing, who do you think takes more shots on target or more shots in general? I'm pretty sure you guys all would have thought it's Højlund and not Xerxes. And that's one of his biggest issues. He spends too much time wrestling with defenders instead of making the right runs. And it's been an issue that he's had for a while, and we're playing 2 different systems. And these one of these things that you could coach into a player, but Terry's absolutely spot on. We made a mistake by signing 2 young strikers. You should never sign 2 young strikers back to back unless you have a senior striker in this team. And I could go back historically to every attacker United signed. We always had a senior in this team. Like the most recent one that I can remember outside of those 2, when we signed Martial under Louis van Gaal, we still had Rooney in that team. And as soon as Mourinho came in, what's the first thing he did? He signed Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Even under Fergie, go back and look at Fergie. He never used to really sign a lot of young strikers, and when he did, we had a lot of seniors. Like Rooney came in, and who did we have in the team? We had Rooney and Ronaldo come in. Fair enough, Ronaldo was a striker, but we signed Rooney, and we had Van Nistelrooy winning Golden Boots. So that's a mistake that we've done that we need to fix right now, and that's the issue that we're suffering from. The only reason
the danger is though, of
Sorry?
what you're doing is I have these debates with my fan base a lot, and you'll have players that are praised and everything when things are going well. When your team's out of form, the whole team's performing badly. All of a sudden, these players that were lauded and praised are now not good enough, are now trash. It happens all the time. That's why,
of course,
I really flip-flop on players. If I backed a player when we were good, obviously I will criticize performances, but you won't see me sit there and just all of a sudden I think this player is the best thing since sliced bread. Now he's trash, So I'm looking at things like that. It's just like I take that into consideration. Man United as a team are very poor right now, and I think it's easy to just write off players and go, well, obviously he's not good enough
The-
because he's not.
But,
performing.
but it's not writing off. But it's not writing off Lawless.
Yeah.
Like I have to address. At the end of the day, player development is great and all that. But when the whole team is not getting results, I need to start bringing in players that are performing right now in these roles and have them do a job for me. I go and there's no exaggeration. We go into every game knowing we're gonna offer minimal threat to the opposition's backline. You should that Spurs game where they beat us 4-3. That's the game. Honestly, I said that day. I said anyone who had any stocks in Højlund today, you lost a lot of your stocks. So much value was lost.
You know what it is, Staffy? When I'm watching you lot, right? It's
One
like
second,
when
I
I'm
was just
watching.
gonna say he went against Dragusin and what's his name, the midfielder, Archie Gray,
Great.
and he offered no trouble. They were not troubled for 90
Do
minutes.
you know what's really?
And then a week later,
You're not-
Liverpool packed them with 6.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong in terms of that game. Do you remember what he looked like when he came on against Arsenal in his debut? Do you remember his touches and his flicks and his hold up? Do you remember that game? I actually looked at him and thought, "Ooh, there's a player in there," and that's why for the first couple of months, Don looked at him and went, "I like him." That player don't exist anymore. That player, that the boy that would try those things has gone, and it's the pressure that he was put under. Now, some will say, "Well, if you can't handle the pressure, get out of the kitchen." Standards FC will say, "Well, that proves you ain't good enough." I just went back and looked because I remember Man United back in 2004-05. I was nearly 20 years. I was turned 20 that season. Jesus Christ! Not only when we signed Ronaldo and Rooney did we have Ruud van Nistelrooy, we had Louis Saha, and we had Alan Smith. So we had Alan Smith, we had Louis Saha, and we had Ruud van Nistelrooy, who. What is Rooney's about to turn 30? So, I mean, you're talking about like, I think Wilfried Zaha is about 5 or 6 years older than Wayne Rooney as an example. So if Rooney was 18, he would have been in his mid-20s. Alan Smith, I think, is about 4
was that? 2006, you said?
04-05 season. 04-05. So Ronaldo had been there a year already, and we just signed Rooney. But the point is, we had a 24-25-year-old Alan Smith, who was a decent striker until his leg break. You had a 26-27-year-old Saha, who's a very good Premier League striker, and you had one of the greatest strikers in Man United's history in Ruud van Nistelrooy there. So yes, Wayne Rooney came in and did well, but Rooney didn't come in with no support around him in a dysfunctional team. And by the way, Rooney's talent is light years ahead of Rasmus Højlund, and this is why I feel sorry for players like Rasmus, because Rooney needed those older players around him, the experience around him, the quality structure, both at club level, in the dressing room, on the football pitch, so that he could flourish. If you look through United's history at our young players that we've bought or that we've developed, they've gone in. The ones that have done well went into teams that were good with a great core. You look through the 70s and 80s and look at some of the brilliant youngsters we signed and developed then. Didn't have the same careers as the Busby Bays before them, or the Fergie fledglings afterwards. There is a key component here that's missing. So I understand people. I want better than Rasmus because we've got to start winning football matches. And if he ends up leaving. I'm not surprised he's failed though. I'm really not. And Man United fans are a big problem in this. It was only, listen, me and you, Staffy, we love Mainu. We think he's great. I'm not seeing him have many bad games for United, but he was poor in the Wolves game. I think it was. One of our
the game before last. The game before last,
it was Wolves. He was poor. Oh, I think we overhyped him. He's getting fat. He's become. I saw people turning on him in the same way, and I'm like, hang on, he had a bad game, guys. But this is the problem. Man United fans have done this now for a decade. We go, okay, well, Martial's gone now, so I can't focus on him. Oh, bloody hell, Xerxes was the target. I'll go for Rasmus next, or I'll go for our players get targeted.
Nacho is another one.
Well, listen, and again, and this is why I say same energy. People pick and choose when to use the excuse of bad coaching, poorly run club. Listen, I think Pogba got ruined by this football club. But if Pogba's ability can be ruined by this club, how the hell can Garnacho's and Rasmus not be? It doesn't make any logical sense. And that's why I think that, look, and some of these players have been ruined beyond repair. And I also think as well, you'll see some of these guys leave. And this is where the conversation becomes hard. You'll see someone leave and everyone's like, oh, look how good they look. It's happened this season with McTominay. Happened with Chris Smalling. It happened with, remember when Ashley Young left? The straw that broke the camel's back was the Barcelona game, Champions League. We knocked out PSG. and we lost, I think, the first leg. Started quite well in the second leg, and then Ashley Young played a bad pass. Barca went and scored. They went and scored a couple of quick goals. He was gone. We got rid of Young. He was one of the star players of a Serie A title winning team a year later. Now, that's a different league. But you sit there, he weren't a bad player. It was just the circumstances. And I know that rival fans never want to hear this. They just want to hear, all your players are crap. Your club is crap. Your club is not finished. We'll just say that. But we're having a grown-up conversation here. And that's why I think the next couple of windows are really important. And if there's a star, we've signed some young players. They've gone into our academy, great. But we really do need, as you say, I think you're right to add what you did, Staffy. Good age profile, but players that are currently in form that can come in. And you look at what Maz has done this year. If we had like 3 or 4 more players performing at his level consistently in different positions, even until the system is fully integrated, you'll just win some more games. It gets the media off our back. It takes a little bit of pressure off and everything else. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting window for Man United, no doubt about it whatsoever. A few super chats here to go to. First one says, if the club failed Pogba and Martial, then surely they have ruined Garnacho and Erasmus. Yeah, I mean,
but no.
Pogba and Martial in the same sentence as Garnacho.
I get the point you're trying to make, but listen, Pogba and Martial's talent is clear of Garnacho and Rasmus's individual talent. Again, I heard what you said there, Staffy. You went their names are in the same conversation, but you're thinking no one is comparing the talent. The point being, let's make it numbers. Let's say Pogba and Martial are 8.5 to 9.5 out of 10 in terms of ability, and let's say Garnacho and Rasmus are 5. Okay, but they've all got the potential to be Premier League football players. If the club and its culture ruin the 8 and 9.5 out of 10s, what do you think? What would that then do to the players that are not as talented? Surely you have to keep the same energy. Yeah, but this is the problem that you've got though, Terry, because when you've got a bunch of United fans making Rasmus and Garnacho sound better than what they are, that's why they've got a big target on their back. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Because a lot of people were trying to, prop up Garnacho, even though they could see the deficiencies in his game. Same thing as Højlund as well. The recurring theme. Hold on, Terry. Yeah, the recurring theme with Rasmus was, we need to create more chances for him. Well, realistically, if that's the case, right, go bring more creativity in that 10 role or at left wing back, help to create more chances for him, right? But the issue is you don't trust him right now. You want someone that's a little bit more seasoned.
So I understand. So I understand that. My two points I would say to that are this: that we still need more creativity. It isn't a singular issue at the club. So even with a better movement and better finisher, I still think we need to create more as a team. The second element is, maybe it's just me. My opinion of Palmer isn't based upon how much Chelsea fans love or hate him. It's based on what I see. So for me, there are Man United fans out there online, like United Trey, that will say certain things about a player and big them up to be on what they are. But that shouldn't dictate how a grown man views that player. I didn't hate Paul Pogba because some of the mainstream media in England were racist. I don't need, as a grown man, I didn't care about his haircuts. I didn't care about his clothes. I didn't care about him dancing at his brother's wedding. I didn't care about any of that. My opinion was based on what I saw of him as a football player. If someone goes, do you know what? I don't mind Garnacho, but too many people rate him more than they should. Therefore, I'm going to slam it on him. For me personally, that's like a childish way to behave.
Yeah, but
as
a man. Of course, but unfortunately, that's what happens. that's
what you just did, Don. You was just saying, a lot of United fans. That's why we have to go.
I'm giving an explanation, bro. I'm saying, bro, listen. For me, Rasmus, I haven't completely written him off to say he's not going to develop. There's a lot of people that are saying Rasmus is shit and that, bro. Right now, I don't like what I'm seeing. It's true, but at the same time, I do think that if he was in a better environment, he would have developed a little bit better than this. You know what I'm saying? And like I said to Terry last season, we were creating some good chances. I thought, for me, if he was on the end of some of those chances, he would have probably finished them better than Jackson. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to be fair. I'm looking at both sides here. I'm just saying that there's a target on both of those players' back because a lot of United fans were propping them up to be, Rasmus is better than Jackson. And
I do get that, and I understand why a rival fan would then stick it in that regard. And fans just have a habit of doing this. I remember when Saka, and I remember this, we did a show on it when Saka and Smith Rowe were coming through. Most Arsenal fans that were on our shows back then were far more complimentary and far more buzzing more about Smith Rowe. They were predicting him to be one of the top 10 football players in the world within 3 seasons. Equally, though, it didn't make me go, right, I'm going to stick it on that guy more now because some Arsenal fans think this, but maybe that's just me. Staffy, the stats go against your point. He doesn't get the ball fed to him. How will he get shots off? None of your strikers are shooting more than 1 shot per game.
It's 2025. We need to listen more, okay? Listen before you speak. Just said a stat, and in that stat, Xerxes is averaging more shots than him. There's 6 players on this team averaging more shots than him. We can't just say he doesn't get fed the ball. Look at this movement. Look at what he does in the game. And if he makes perfect runs and he doesn't get the ball, then we'll talk about this. But when he doesn't do what he's supposed to do, which is offer no threat to the back line, that's on him. No way Xerxes in less minutes, less starts than him in the Premier League, is averaging more than double the shots that he does. It's not acceptable. And Xerxes is not even an out-and-out 9 like we all said. But listen,
Tony here says the issue Højlund is having at United, I think, may happen to Gyökeres because I believe the main issue is that the style of striker not getting the right balls fed to him. Look, I will say, obviously it feeds into your other point, Tony. There has definitely been games where we haven't played the balls into him. There have also been games like the Spurs away match. He should have been making runs to the back post. 2 brilliant crosses from Bruno, which I know pains Staffy to say, right? That's a bit of a joke, but he did. So there's a combination of the two. The difference between Gyökeres is, again, if you can translate it to the Premier League, I have to throw that caveat in because there's a lot of trolls out there. He's the type of striker that scores those half chances, scores those goals from acute angles, scores those goals that you maybe don't expect to go in. And Man United need to find someone of that level. It's as simple as that. There's a Chelsea in the last 3 matches. If they had that person that can score those, nowadays you call it a low XG chance. In my day, they were called half chances, or
half chances.
It's you need to try and find a bagsman that can score those half chances. You know, the goal against Spurs, and I know it isn't by a brilliant bagsman from Wolves from that acute angle. How many times a season in their pomp did you see Drogba's, Harry Kane's, Aguero's, Rooney's? They'd get the ball in those kind of areas and they would score from it. And it's almost you need to try and find someone that can do that, because those types of goals are I know goals change games, but those types of goal scorers change matches, because again, they're the kind of players where you go, Harry Kane consistently will overperform his XG in his pomp, if you like XG as a measurement, because he scores so many goals where you think, how the fuck did he get it in from there? And you need to try and find someone like that. So away from the Rasmus problem, Rasmus isn't good enough at that, and he may never be good enough at it. He may just be someone. He may just be someone.
He doesn't create his own. He doesn't create his own.
I agree.
Chances,
I agree.
If that makes sense, you know what I'm saying. All the top strikers do that, bro. Aguero, you got the Drogbas, Haaland. They all create their own chances, man. You're not gonna have every single chance plated to you. It doesn't work like that.
This is his fair point on your position regarding the United rebuild, Terry. Can we apply this to the Arteta in and out debate? I did a video on this about 6 weeks ago. So by the way, it's the same energy, just not interested in that conversation anymore, because I feel both, and I'm talking about the polarized people, they've both been proven wrong. 95% of their predictions in the last 5 years have been wrong, right? In terms of uber positive or uber negative, that even if he does win the league or doesn't win the league, I'm not having any of them claim they were right when they've got 90% of their... The example I would give is this. Imagine Dan Lawless this weekend predicts Man United are going to get beat 6-0. And say Don goes, I actually predict a 1-1 tight draw. And then Liverpool would win a tight game 1-0. Lawless can't say he was right just because the result went his way. He is far more wrong than Don that said 1-1 and it was going to be a tight game. And that's what I think happens with a lot of these debates. It just becomes very, very boring indeed to listen to. 1 billion spent, but let's spend. Yes, everyone has to keep spending, Bruno. Everybody has to keep spending, whether it's successful or whether it's failed. You can't stop spending. 100% you got to. Your relentless positivity about United turns me on, Mr. Flewers. Please keep talking about it. Well, I hope you enjoy that, Deborah Miller. and you and your sock are having a good time watching.
There's a new
this
one.
show.
There's a new one now. There's a new one. Who's the other one? Who's the other one?
Donna Cullen. Donna Cullen.
Yeah,
Donna
yeah,
Cullen.
yeah. Who's this one? This one's a 2025 one now, bro. What's going on?
No, I like it. I know. Jay here says, we'll come back to that a little bit later when we're talking Arsenal. Thank you, Luke Skywalker, for asking everybody to hit the like buttons. Thank you very much indeed. Anyone on the panel ever challenge this drain? I don't know what that means.
I challenge Terry all the time.
Yeah. I get accused of that a lot.
We challenge each other.
I know. I get a lot of accusations that no one on my panels ever challenged me. It always makes me laugh. I just think you can't be watching if you think no one challenges.
People tell me I don't challenge you enough, and I'm like, do you want me to spend the whole show every time Terry says something? I'll go back. He goes back.
Just doing it for the sake of doing it, bro. It doesn't
like,
work.
bro, I'm just gonna put my opinion there. Terry's gonna say the opposite. I still don't agree. Up to the
I don't think
decide, bro. I mean, the chat can decide. I don't care.
People don't understand debates either. Debates are not about. I'm never going to convince Staffy he's wrong, and he's never going to convince me. So it's I'll say something, he'll say something, a little to and fro, and then you, the audience, can decide who's right or wrong. You don't. It's the way it is. The tribalism it's the tribalism again. Yes, Rasmussen and Nacho have deficiencies, but let's not act like Pogba and Martial also didn't have deficiencies, and wasn't gassed as world-class players when they weren't.
Bro, can we stop mentioning Pogba in the same sentence with these people? This guy left us he won a World Cup and came back. Like, can we just stop doing this, please? You're embarrassing.
It's crazy.
It's actually crazy. You always support the channel, but come on, you're better than this.
Pogba's annoying as well because he could have been a great. If you went to Real Madrid, he would have been a great, bro. You know what I'm saying? He ruined his career by going United.
He's the best midfielder in the world when we signed him. He was in the world XI at 21. What are we even doing here?
But I think you're missing Josh's point. It's if the best midfielder in the world can be damaged by a club's toxicity, why are we so spiteful to the players with less ability?
Because you have to be good, Terry, for me to think that, for me to say I failed you, I just have to look at you. I'm like, wow, you were so amazing before you came here. You were so amazing with your country when you were here. Fair enough, he wasn't amazing after he left because he had the whole thing going on with Juventus and the doping or whatever it was, the testosterone. But you look at his whole career, he was good everywhere except when he was playing for us. For me to say I failed you, you had to be something very good for me to look at myself and be like, I'm the reason. I'm the reason that you failed.
Can't fail.
So just to clarify your position, this isn't a challenge; it's a question, so the viewers don't get triggered. So it's only if you're of world-class level the club can foul you. If you're just a good to very good talent, you can't be fouled by the club.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Of course, listen, the club can fail a lot of people. I feel like the club, as an example, has failed a lot of young talent over the years because we don't give them the proper development. But when you put Garnacho as an example in the same sentence as Pogba or Højlund, Rasmus and Garnacho were never the same talent as Pogba, let alone Martial. Let's not forget that Martial, when we bought him, Monaco was looking at him as a future Ballon d'Or winner. Like, they wanted to put in a clause where if he ever wins the Ballon d'Or, you got to pay us some money. That's how much they rated him. When Mbappe came in after Martial, they said we found the new Martial. People don't know. A lot of people don't remember these things. That's what I'm saying. When you say you failed someone, and you're talking about this type of talent, you gotta be like, you know what? You were very good. Only I ruined you because Pogba was a magnificent. Everyone else.
I understand that. I understand that stance. I think what people are referring more to, though, and I think we're missing the conversation they want, is this element of if the system and the managers and the bad coaching can damage the players that are supreme, to be really toxic and dismissive of the lesser talent, even though they're good. You know, look at the way everyone spoke about Scott McTominay this year. He's been one of the best midfielders in a title race so far in Serie A, right? So he would have been looked at as nowhere near the talent to discuss. Leaves Man United, suddenly everyone's saying, well, why'd you let him go? I ain't seen him play like this. I haven't seen him do that. And I think for me, that's where there has to be I always think you have to drop your personal view of a player and look at it more kind of holistically and say, well, no player's progressed. Everybody's gone backwards. Therefore, should we really be just saying, I look at, I'm just going to say Rashford. This proves Rashford I was right about. I think a lot of it comes down to this. And Pogba and Martial got this treatment too. I never rated Pogba that much. Him not making it is proof he was overrated. Some people don't like Rashford. Now what he's going through, this is proof he was never that good. But when it comes to the opposite and it's a player you like, it's the club ruined them, bad coaching. And I think a lot of the viewers, and the viewers can correct me if I'm wrong on this, feel that we change our energy depending on whether we like the player or not, as opposed to applying a little bit of an objective view of what's gone wrong.
No, I get that point, but that super chat wasn't making that point, Terry. If you bring that super chat up again, I'm sure it wasn't making that point. It was the previous one.
Stream proving this guy.
The first one made that point. The second one didn't, bro. It was talking about weaknesses and whatnot.
Done. I could do a whole stream explaining why the club failed Pogba and Martial.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. The fact that Garnacho even made it this level, honestly, he didn't even get failed. He achieved more than he should have ever done. This guy is so limited. Bro. He's gonna look back one day and be like, "I actually played football for Manchester United." Wow.
And it's fair you say that. And then let me ask you an objective view. Let's say he leaves and goes to Ati. They want to pay 60 million. Say he goes to Ati and plays really well for them for 4 or 5 years, scoring goals, helps them win league titles. Would you then say objectively, I was wrong, he's a top level football player?
If he turns it around and becomes a magnificent player that I didn't see, obviously I'm going to look back and be like, how did he all of a sudden become something that I didn't see at his time at United? The likelihood of that happening is very minimal. There's like a 1% chance that's going to happen.
If I'd have told you this time last year that Scott McTominay is going to leave, join Napoli, be one of the best players in their team, be lauded by the Italian press, and pivotal to them being in the title race, you'd have asked for a straitjacket for me.
He's not really. I mean, I feel like everyone's
he has been.
I've only got one clip where he dribbled 2 players, and I haven't seen clips since.
Yeah, but it's not. He doesn't do that very often because that isn't the kind of player he is. But I've seen a lot of Napoli fans online over the course of this season raving about him, talking about him, buzzing about him. And I'm going off fan opinion here because I trust the fans more than I trust the media, to be fair. But look, I hear you on that. I did want to ask you guys very quickly as well. What did you guys make of Luke Shaw's video with Molly May and co? Because I've seen a lot of people angry about it.
Get a life.
Literally.
No,
literally, man. People are just like, what's the word I'm looking for? Just must not be happy in their personal life to really care about something like that. I can't lie. That didn't bother me one bit. Like, that wouldn't bother me one bit. If my club was going through tatters and I'm seeing someone involved in their wife's TikTok, that's not gonna bother me. If it was his personal TikTok and he's making all these dancing videos and that, then I'll be like, I'll side-eye it a little bit. But listen, man, you're with family, it's New Year's, he's a footballer, yes, but he's a person at the end of the day. He can enjoy himself with his family and that, bro. It's not that deep. It's not that deep, man.
It's not that deep at all, bro. They did the same thing with a lot of other players. And this is when I keep the same energy.
Yeah.
They used to do that with Pogba when he used to put videos then. I mean, to be fair, even Pogba's was worse because he used to post it. So that at least made sense. Like, I got asked to do a TikTok. Let's be honest, Don. If you're at a party and everyone's doing a TikTok and they come to you, they're like, yo, Don, you want to be in the TikTok? Are you going to be the only dickhead that says, no, I don't want to be in it?
Yeah.
Come on.
Jump in, man.
Just because he did a TikTok is not the reason why he's still out injured. It's not the reason why he netted in 14.
Yes.
And it doesn't change the fact that he's still not going to play for us and we still need to sell him. Just, bro, please. It's New Year's. Focus on something.
It's like them people I saw on Twitter as well, complaining, on Instagram even, trying to get onto Madison for going to the darts. And I'm like, bro, like, do you think these guys just mope around because they've lost the game? Like, they've got a life, you know what I mean? And the thing is, you want them to even forget about football for a little bit and just try, refresh their mind. And when they get back to work, they're back to business again, bro. You know what I mean?
No, 110%. 110% agree. Ray here says, unfortunately, it's graveyard shifts up front for us. So if you don't do something special, class as bad because we have to score goals on dull chances. Do you know what's really funny? Like right now, just in the short term, what I wouldn't give to have individual brilliance back at Man United again. I tell you, we got slagged off for that, but I tell you, we're missing a bit of that in the last few games. Staffy, how are we going to say listen and then not listen to what I said? If your wingers and midfield are shooting more than your strikers, you are second last in passes into the box. Gyökeres will make better runs. Will Gyökeres make better runs?
Okay, there's 2 ways to look at this. Number one, I told you again, Xerxes averaging more shots. Stop telling me everyone's averaging more shots than a striker when I'm telling you for the 3rd time right now, Xerxes averaging more shots. Secondly, when you say we're second to last, which I don't know, but if that's a correct stat, then that's embarrassing. When you're saying we're second to last in passes into the box, maybe, just maybe, you got to think of it. Do I have a striker that makes runs into the box for me to pass it to? Because if I don't pass into the box, it doesn't mean you're looking at it as like, oh, they're ignoring him in the box. I'm looking at it as he doesn't make the right runs in the box to get the ball anyways. So many times he lays off the ball and he stays outside the box. And I look at him, I'm like, you got to lay it off to your winger or whatever, run into the box. And then if you get the ball, you get the ball. More times than not, he doesn't even make the run. So who are they meant to pass to when he's not there? Like, come on, like, let's be a little bit more realistic when we say these things. The games are there to be watched. Just watch the games. I advise this to you guys. The next couple games, not to pile up on Højlund or be mean to him or anything. Just, you know what? Just for the next couple games, forget the Liverpool one because it's tough. The next game after Liverpool, just watch Højlund. Be like, you know what? Today I want to pay extra attention to Højlund. Let me see how many times he's going to make the right run and he gets looked off or he gets ignored.
You know what? I just want to say quickly one thing on the Luke Shaw thing. One thing I hope that we stop doing in 2024 is the whole, oh, if it was this player, people would react like this, but they're not reacting like this because it's this player. If it was Rashford, if it was Pogba, and no one just wants to give their own opinions on a subject and say, I think Luke Shaw shouldn't be doing this. I think this is fine for Luke Shaw to be doing this. It's all got to be, yeah, well, if it's Rashford, it's just agenda wars. It's pure agenda wars and just moral grandstanding online.
Do you know what you find for me? Often when we think of spectrums, we think one end to the other. And the older I get, the more I think spectrums are a bit of a circle. The people that will say, if it was Pogba, he would have got abuse. So essentially, therefore, I'm advocating or pushing or asking for the abuse of Luke Shaw. People like that for me, both sides of that argument, scum. They are scummy people. They're bad of mind because your view is that I remember when Raheem Sterling was getting abuse in the English media. I was disgusted by it like everybody else. I saw people though go, I want Rooney and I want Kane. And I want Rashford to get the same abuse. And I'm like, yo, no, we should be asking for Sterling to get the same good treatment. Not everybody to get abuse. And I think it just shows your outlook on this world. And what I find really funny about the people today abusing Shaw versus the people that did or abused Pogba is they think they're a million miles apart from each other. They're the same person with just different preferences of who they want to be nice to and who they want to hate on. But their behavior towards people they dislike is as poisonous as the nastiness that's thrown towards people they like. They are all very nasty, poisonous people. I'm not talking about, a fan coming out of a ground who's angry that maybe says something that he doesn't quite mean. I'm talking about people in the middle of the day seeing a picture of a video of Pogba dancing at a wedding or this TikTok of Luke Shaw I remember when Maddison was at Leicester and he got abuse for having a YSL bag that was see-through. Now, again, I wouldn't wear the bag. I don't see the point of a see-through bag. I don't want to see people seeing in it.
That bag was cold as well. I remember that bag.
Yeah, it's not my cup of tea. But I don't care that he wears it. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anyone who attacks people for stuff like that,
it's jealousy, man.
Stay away from them kind of people, man. Stay away from them.
Jealousy, it's pocket watching. You know what I mean? It's like,
I think part of it,
that item, so I'm gonna hate on it. That's all it is, Terry. That's all it
part is. Of it, when you're shit, when your team's shit, you want to target to vent your frustrations. That you want blame, right? So Luke, Man United shit. Luke Shaw's doing a cringy TikTok at a wedding. Oh, look, this is it. This is the problem. It's it's just a target. It's a punching bag. And that's what fans need to vent, to feel, to get their frustrations out. So I think that's what it comes down to. I mean, I'm angry at Terry for making me have to watch that because I didn't know anything about it. He was like, and I felt dirty afterwards. Just it was so cringe.
No, listen, I hear you. Some breaking news, though, to jump into right now, changing the subject. It wasn't on the agenda for today, but Mo Salah has just stated on Sky Sports News, and I quote, that this is his last season at Liverpool. He says, I really want to win the Premier League this season as it's my last year at the club. I want to give something special to the city. That is in an interview. Fabrizio Romano has also just tweeted out and stated a few moments ago, he said, Mo Salah, when asked if he's in his last year at Liverpool, he said, so far, yes, into the last 6 months, there is no progress here at all. We're far away from any progress in the contract talk, so we just need to wait and see. But he has said he wants to win the league more than ever because right as it stands right now, it's his last year. Some people, like in the comments, are saying, Terry, breaking news, Mo Salah is leaving. How do you guys, someone says check Fabrizio again, as he said something else. Oh, he's also pinned Trent Alexander-Arnold now to the top of his post.
When it rains, it pours.
It rains, it pours. But right now, Mo Salah says he's leaving. It's the end of the season. I'm gone. We're far away from a new deal. Mo, what do you make of that, brother?
Mo? Who's Mo?
Mo, sorry, Kathy. I was thinking of Mo Salah. Sorry, brother. Sorry, go.
Didn't they call Sam the other day on another show, Mo? You know, this racismo with the Arabs going on this channel? That's that. But no, listen, we're rivals here. This is great news for us. I wish he could leave before Sunday's game. Because what he's about to do to us on Sunday should be unspoken. But listen, I want to give him his flowers. I want to put my bias aside right now. I want to speak as a football fan, as a Premier League fan, not as a United fan. I said this guy right now, he should be going for GOAT conversations in the Premier League right with Thierry Henry for the things that he's achieved, for the goals that he scored, for the record that he's broken and he's still breaking. Especially if, God forbid, he ends the season with a league in a Champions League. He puts himself up there for sure. What this guy's done over the last 6, 7 years? How long has he been in the league? For about 7 years now. Discount the stint they had with Chelsea. I'm talking about just with Liverpool. What he's done has been absolutely amazing. And I would be really upset if I was a Liverpool fan with the way things are going and the way he's leaving, because you never want to see your legends leave your club this way. If he would have left because he's just, I don't know, he's absolutely exceptional in his prime, and maybe Real Madrid came in and knocking on the door like it happened with Ronaldo with us, it's kind of understandable when he's leaving, because you know what, he's just been here for too long. He's now washed. His best days are behind him. He's a mix of both right now. He's getting up there in age, but in terms of performances, he's still performing as one of the best in the league and one of the best in the world. And to leave on a free, not even because a team came in with a lot more money and more, they flexed their financial muscles on you and took them from you, I would be quite upset as a Liverpool fan seeing the way that his contract is being ran out and that they couldn't reach an agreement. Yeah, I honestly think he's the best ever player to play for their club. Not just in terms of talent, for what he's achieved and for the goals that he scored. He's definitely up there. In my opinion, he's the best. Because as I said before, if this guy was from the city, if he was born there and he was from the academy, they would have held him a lot differently. They would have spoken. If his name was Trent, they would be speaking about him as the Premier League GOAT. So I'd be a bit upset as a Liverpool fan to see the way things are going. But as rivals, listen, the day has finally come, because this guy is one of the few world-class players still left in the league. He's torched you last week. Lawless, he's torching me on Sunday.
Hold on, Staffy. Not just world-class, he's an all-timer, bro.
Yeah, of course. All-timer in the league or in general?
No, in general, bro. Of course he's an all-timer.
I hear it.
Of course he's an all-timer in general. You can't put up the numbers that he's done, right? Win the stuff that he's won in the hardest league in the world and not be an all-timer, bro. He's an all-timer, not just in the Prem, in football in general.
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you what, Sam's about to go nuclear on FSG, and it's hard to blame him really, because it's sort of been in their hands. From what Salah said, it's been in their hands in interviews in terms of, you know, offering him a deal that he would be happy with to stay. Now, I don't know the details on that deal, and I feel like Saudi probably have a role to play in this in terms of potential big offers there that he knows he can get, and wanting him to match it. And I guess you have to just ask, how much is too much? Because Salah he's unbelievable, and he's probably got like maybe another 2 seasons close to this level in him. But again, if he wants long-term contract, he wants more money, signing on fee. I can't blister FSG as much as it does look like a massive fumble as I'm thinking about it, without knowing the finances of the deal and what he's actually asking for. But I can understand why Liverpool fans will be frustrated, because like Staffy said, you don't want him to go out this way. You know what I mean? Like, really, they'd want him to end on top at Liverpool. So it's a massive shame for them. And if Trent goes, like you said, boy, it's just
Exactly, bro. That's what I'm saying. Like, you got to look at FSG for this, man, because, bro, it don't matter what he's asking for. You've got to pay it. You've got to find a way to.
Is there no limit though, Don? Like,
right?
what would you? If it's you? Like, let's talk. Let's actually look at a cap, like of where you cap it. If he say he wants a 5-year deal,
nah, he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that. Realistically, you can always come back and say, listen, we'll give you 2-3 years. You know what I mean? Like, you're a legend of ours. You've put up serious numbers for us. The reason why we're even going to win these trophies or won these trophies, you played a big part in that as well. You know what I mean? You've given us good service, bro. 5 years, obviously, for Salah is mad because of his age. But 3 years, bro, 400K minimum, I would say a week. That's more than realistic, bro.
Okay,
FSG
that's your
have the money to do it. The problem here, Lawless, is FSG have the money to do it, bro. It's not like they don't have the money to do it, bro. They came in and literally put in the biggest, the greatest British record bid or whatever it was for Caicedo and made us have to even go and break that. You know what I mean? With no dilly-dallying for Lavia on a few pounds. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm looking at it right now. That's why I always say, like, for any players looking to go Liverpool, they're always going to be looking at the owners, right? Looking at that ambition. Who are you going to bring? If I come to Liverpool and I sign for 5 years, who are you going to bring to the club during that period? Because I can't win these trophies by myself. I'm not Messi. You know what I mean? So, end of the day, this is another damning thing that FSG have done. To lose Trent on a free, or if they lose him in January for what, 30 million, that's an absolute howler. You're talking about, again, another potential great in the Prem. Yeah. And then Salah as well to leave for free, bro. It's mad. It's madness, bro. At the same time.
It is crazy. Let's take a little look here at the clip. We've been sent through a clip of this.
So I'm led to believe every pre-season or in the summer before pre-season, you will go on holiday by yourself and you'll do a list of everything you want to achieve that season. Firstly, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, every time like I have a time off, I always go with the family. I see my parents first, then I go with my family. Then I have like 1-2 days alone completely just to write the target for next season. And yeah, that's happening every holiday.
So what was on the list this year?
The first thing was on the list to win the Premier League was Liverpool. I usually, if you see my interviews last 7-8 years, I always say Champions League. But this is the first time I would say like I really want to win the Premier League with Liverpool.
Okay, so why is the Premier League gone above the Champions League now then?
No idea, probably because we didn't celebrate the one we won with the club the way we wanted, and also coming back here it's my last year in the club, so you want to do something special for the city. That wasn't the thing in my head.
Okay, so does that stick with you a little bit then, the fact you never quite got to celebrate? I mean, the club did everything it could, it didn't quite.
It's very interesting as well because it isn't like he's making a snidey point that the last year at his club. He's just having a conversation. Is like, I really want to win it. It's my last year. It was thrown in very organically, I felt, as opposed to, well, I really want to win it because you all know, you know, it's my last year at the club. I'd love to stay another year, but it's actually my last year. He didn't do anything like that. It was just very much, it's
Like
my
it's
last
decided.
year.
Like it's
That's
made-
poor journalism, man. Why didn't he jump on that? Why is he not like, as soon as last year, so there's no offer, you're not looking to stay? Why didn't he jump on that?
No, I think that was part of the interview. And he said it's far, innit? They're far from coming to an agreement. You know what I mean? So it's a howler, Lawless, man. You can't defend FSG in any way about this, bro. Losing two of their best players like this, it's a howler.
No, they should have never let him get to this point. They should have never let him get to the point where they're so close to ending. But once you're at this point, it is always going to be very, very difficult because the player has a lot more power once they're at this point.
Yeah,
but, I don't know the finances.
He does, but I think he wants to stay. When you listen to the other interviews he's done, he wants to stay. And look, I've been someone that's been very complimentary of a lot of things that FSG have done a lot of good. They have a great structure. They buy well. A seamless transition through managers is an indication of how well run they are. However, I would say that the area where I understand Liverpool fans are frustrated is, I don't know what word to use, but they're cheap sometimes. And cheap can be expensive. I still think Trent's a little different. They should have sold him. So I think Trent wants to go. Personally, that's how it feels to me looking. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. He looks like he wants to go. Mohamed Salah wants to stay. He's your greatest ever Premier League player, in my opinion, almost by a mile now. I think he's this season, it's like he's leaving everybody else behind with how good he is. And he could end up next year at PSG. he could end up in. PSG have offered him a 3-year deal, £500,000 a week. Now, if PSG are willing to do it, so should you. Even if, say to him, 2 years with a 1-year extension, if you haven't had any bad injuries, we'll give you it. 400. I reckon 400 grand a week, 2 year with a year extension, Mo Salah's yours. And if you look at him, and I mean, no Diddy or anything about this, physically looks amazing, doesn't get injuries. There's not an ounce of fat on him, and that matters. If he was starting to look a little pudgy around the sides, picking up hamstring here and a groin there, then I get it. But there is no sign of that happening. And if it does happen, no one would say terrible decision. That's all. It's going to be a freak change in him. There is no indication that he's falling off. Terrible news. Speaking of news, though, more breaking news. I've got a comment that's been sent through here that says La Liga and the Federation have told several journalists in the last few hours that they will not give the okay in the third appeal for the registration of Dani Olmo and Viktor to Barcelona. This will be their third appeal. They've spent millions so far in court trying to register Dani Olmo, and some journalists are leaking that they've been told by La Liga and by the Spanish Football Federation that they are not going to yield and they're going to stand on their job. If Dani Olmo's available for free this month, surely all of our clubs have got to be on this. You can't just let it happen and not pounce, surely.
What's his actual best position, Terry? Because I'm not going to act like I've watched a lot of Dani Olmo. Sorry, I watched him in the was it the Euros? The Euros, isn't it? The Euros? Yeah, the Euros that just went. I watched him in the Euros. I've seen him in the Champions League a few times, but I've never watched him religiously. Right? What's his actual best position, people? Because I've got a lot of midfielders. Obviously, he can play on the wing as well, both sides. To be fair, he's
an attacking midfield player, in my opinion. However, he is comfortable left, right, and centrally. So I'm not saying play him as a winger every week, but he can drift out there and do. He's a little bit like he doesn't score as many goals, but he's a little bit like Palmer in the sense of he can operate in those positions and be comfortable. For me, that's how I view him. So maybe not you guys. Having said that, João Felix ain't setting the world alight. Nkunku is talking about wanting to leave. I won't look at Madueke as being a Premier League. I still look at it and think he could still improve your team. I look at my club, Man United, and I'm thinking to myself, I know everyone he won't say yes. I don't care. We should fucking try if he's free. We've got to try. I guarantee you we're paying. I bet his salary is less than what Anthony gets paid at Man United. I bet it is. If he's free, honestly, this is crazy. I mean, imagine Barca. I know that they celebrate when they sold all those levers a few years ago, but Barca really are in fucking trouble. You know, they've been crashing in the league. They got more financial difficulties. Honestly, I know my club's in a bad situation, but Jesus, Barca are not. And the only thing that's saving grace is that league is essentially a 2-horse race, and every now and then Atty turn up. Like if it was like England, where there was 3 or 4 other teams with as much money or more money than them in terms of income, they'd have been done. You know, they've kind of the reason they get away with it is because they're a superpower, and there's only one other team of their level in that country, and they get away with it a little bit, I think, because that's just a madness that they've got 2 players they can't register. That's fucking crazy.
I wonder how long it's going to take them to get over the Messi situation, because that's what put them in this situation in the first place, Terry. So I don't know how long it's going to take, what they're going to have to do to get that money back. I know they were hosting weddings at the new camp, and they were selling grass and doing all these things to try and make all this money, but clearly it's not working, bro. Because they have registration problems. They had the same issues with Christensen when they bought him as well. If you remember, they were taking ages to register him. Even Marcos Alonso. Boy, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on over there financially.
So I get your point, Nicky, that he's not free. Okay, this is why though you've got to be very mindful of this. So if he's not allowed to be registered, he still gets paid, and Barcelona are already in a hole. So if they have to pay a player, theoretically, he could join another football club and he still gets paid by Barcelona. So there's a way in which you could structure a deal and get him yourself, and Barca still have to pay him. So Barca are not going to stand in his way if they get told no. They're literally going to say, please find somewhere else because we don't want you taking our money. They can't. It's crazy. And maybe they might wait 6 months, but this is them losing him. This is going to stop them winning the league, in my opinion. It's going to stop them winning anything major this year, which is going to generate more income. This is crazy. It's terrible news for him. But
if he's contracted, but they can't register him, then doesn't that mean then obviously they can't play him? but he's still contracted. So doesn't that mean that they could still sell his contract? Because
they could, but it's one of those things they could. But if you're a buyer and you're looking at it, you go, well, okay, well, we're not going to pay then, and therefore you have to pay someone millions and millions of pounds that can't play for you. And because he's not registered, this is the thing. So the way the contract is done, he can go and play somewhere else if he wants for free, but they have to pay him. I think it's because he's not a registered player. He signed a contract, but what they've done, Barca, with a lot of players, they've done the contracts before they've registered them in almost like a power move of, we'll get you registered. Don't worry about it. Sign this deal. But they've come a cropper because now they're not allowed to register him. If you're not registered, I think you're a free agent. Just because you've got a contract to be paid by someone, it's about the registration of your player card. If the player card isn't registered, you're a free agent. So theoretically, he could sign for Chelsea or Liverpool or Arsenal for free, get paid 100 grand a week in England, still get his money from Barca. Barca can't stop him.
Interesting. That is very interesting. Yeah, because if they could sell it, then obviously, like you said, they'd have to let him go free out of interest. But then if you have multiple bidders coming in, then it is going to drive a price. Because if someone's saying, well, we'll take him off their hands for free, but then someone goes, well, we'll give you 5 mil, and then the other goes, oh, we'll give you 10 mil. But if you can just choose, then that's a different story.
Yeah, and I get that you say Barca will just pay 50 million euros for him, but what's going to change between now and the summer in terms of finances? Will they register him then? Maybe, maybe not. And what are they paying him a week? 200 grand a week? 300 grand a week? They're going to pay him that and then risk in the summer not registering him either? They're already broke. They are legitimate Lebrokies of Europe. Like they are. They can't even register a player.
Could they sell other players to get him to raise funds and then register?
Yeah, but they owe other players money, and this has been
they
their
owe
issue for years. Look at De Jong.
Yeah,
Young has been one that they've been trying to move on for a while, but it's always the money issue. That club. I don't know what the hell happened at that club, but
I don't know why they bothered signing him. They knew the mess they're in, and they've signed these players.
Remember when they signed Emerson Royale? They couldn't register him, and they sold him in the same window.
Yeah.
The guy got 2 transfers in the same window.
Have you guys? There's a great line, a great little scene in the UK office where David Brent's talking, and he's being told he's got to make redundancies and make cutbacks to save money for the company, and he says, "Oh, redundancies, cutbacks. What's saying that's going to save the company money? What if we employ more people and they make the company more money than we're saving?" There's logic to that if they're able to sell more. And he says, "What would a struggling salesperson do? Would they suddenly start turning up to big meetings on a bicycle? No, they're buying an even more expensive car." And there is logic to that. The problem is, if you buy the expensive car and the more expensive suit when you're struggling, in the hope it makes you land more deals, and then you don't land the deals, you're finished. Because now you've got a bit. And I think that's what Barca have done. Barca maybe should have gone, do you know what? Let's just be modest for 2 or 3 years and catch ourselves up financially and then start spending. They've gone for let's spend more now to try and win the La Liga, win the Champions League, bring in bigger endorsements, and that will pay off the debt. And it looks like it's not quite gone according to plan. So, yeah, crazy. Absolutely crazy. I want to shout out to our title sponsors today as well, by the way. HelloFresh. It is something you should be using if you want to get in shape, if you want to eat a little bit healthier. Something I use on a weekly basis now, and it's really cheap with our discount. 60% off. You can feed 4 people twice a day for a week for £26 in totality with a 60% discount. That is there's 5 meals in there as well. I use it because there's 2 here as lunch and dinner. So lunch and dinner for 2 people for a week for £26 is ridiculous. It's fresh, whole foods, organic, no processed nonsense. You then get 20% off the subsequent next 2 months, and they will send you a free dessert with every delivery for life. You can scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link below. And I know a lot of you are on health kicks. I know it's really hard to stick to it. And a lot of you are going to hit the gym and do all this stuff. The best thing to start with is eating better. You last longer in the gym. Could have said that. That could have gone wrong when I started talking about lasting longer. But you last longer in the gym. You don't fade as quick. And you just feel better. So go and check out HelloFresh. Really simple, really easy to use. And just there's a discount code. I think it's football. What is it? Football T60 is the code in the description, or just scan the QR code and it'll automatically generate itself right now. So go and check that out at the end of the stream. ending the sort of transfer talk before we get onto some of the games this weekend. Arsenal, the last few days, a number of reports in the media about Omar Marmoush, really talented forward at Stuttgart. Is it Stuttgart? Is that or Frankfurt? Frankfurt now. Frankfurt. I think he was at Stuttgart. At Frankfurt. Staffy, how good a move do you think this could be for Arsenal? They're obviously linked to a lot of players this window, and we've done a lot of coverage on that the last few days on the terrace. And I feel like 50 to 60%, it's the agents of the players and the clubs of the players trying to drum up attention elsewhere. But a few journalists I've had a conversation with have said that Arsenal are showing real interest in this player alongside Nico Williams and a few others. Is this the type of signing that Arsenal should be focusing on this January, in your opinion?
Put your Egyptian bias aside, Staffy, on this one as well.
When have I ever showed my Egyptian bias?
Well, I'm just putting a precursor out there.
I won't. He's Egyptian Canadian, anyways. He grew up in Canada, but
so it's like you're Egyptian American like that.
No, but I grew up in Egypt.
Yeah, you sound American though.
See how quick I adapted. I actually grew up in Egypt.
You integrated. They're like Donald Trump will like you over there. You integrated properly. Do you know what I mean?
They used to bully me when I first moved there for my accent. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna get bullied no more. So I developed an accent in a year.
Oh, right. That's heavy, man. That's heavy.
Yeah. But anyways, Marmoush. See, you threw me off, Lawless. Focus on the football, man. Be professional. No, listen, Marmoush. He's having a great season. I think he has more. I forgot what his GA is, but it's up there with one of the best in Europe right now. And he's having a great year. And it's no secret that Arsenal fans been wanting a striker. I've been a little bit more indifferent than them. I've been saying they kind of need a winger. But to be fair, he's a mix of both because he could play a little bit wider, so he can drift to the sides a little bit more to the left, and he can play in central areas. The GA's there. He passes the eye test. He's actually a very good free kick taker as well. So if you want set pieces, you got someone who's good on set pieces as well. So he ticks a lot of boxes. I do have one worry though. I watch how he plays football, and I haven't watched him every game, but I've watched enough to kind of tell like how does he play. The way he plays football, I don't know how much it fits Arsenal, and I'll tell you why. I feel like Arsenal, the way they set up against teams tend to be in a low block a little bit more, and there's not a lot of space to invade. You get what I'm saying? And I look at how Marmoush plays. He's very, very good at running at defenders, with and without the ball. He's an absolute threat when he's running at a defender. His first touch is amazing, and he loves like a one-touch turn on a defender. So he receives the ball, touch, and just run into space, or he carries the ball into that space from the beginning. I look at how Arsenal play. I don't think they get afforded that much space. So I kind of look at him and I'm like, if Arsenal need a poacher and a poacher only, I don't think he's the signing. He fits Liverpool way more. If you give him to Liverpool, replace Nunes and put him there, and you have Salah, Marmoush, and Diaz running at a back line on the transition, it's over. He's a very good transition player. I'm not saying he's bad in possession. It's just like I don't think he's what Arsenal are asking for. You know what I'm saying? Like I hear what Arsenal fans are asking for. They're talking about when the game is ugly, we want someone to give us a moment. When the game is ugly, we want someone to come up with a goal. It's like a fox in the box sometimes. I just don't see him being there. Like he plays good football and his team plays good football. So if he's in a team that is kind of not performing well and you expect them to come up with a moment out of nothing, I don't think he's it. I don't think he's this guy who's just like a poacher in the box. I don't know. He's a good signing. I just don't know if he's an Arsenal signing.
Yeah, and there's the question, I guess, on, because I've been listening to a lot of Arsenal fans about what they want and who they want, whether he is that next level signing they've been wanting up front. They're not going to get his sack. They're not. But they want that clinical bagsman. Like you said, this season, the goals to games ratio is great. But I feel like you want to see, for them, someone that's been doing it season in, season out. And, like I said, at the moment, it's working. I think he's got a good partnership with Ekatika. I can never pronounce him, someone that we've definitely been wanting, but I don't think we'll get him. But, yeah, it's just, is he is he the signing that's definitely going to put them over the line and make them title winners? Is he going to be as clinical?
He's better than anything they have. Don't get me wrong. Like Barca, obviously, he's better than anything they have in that front line.
Yeah,
I just don't know if he stylistically fits how they play. He's just look. Just go look. Honestly, anyways, just go look him up. You're gonna see that most of his moments come in transition, and I don't look at Arsenal as that transition team. I really don't. So I don't know how he comes in and plays against a low block, like those games where you play a low block against Everton or any of those teams that are super physical. I just don't see him being that guy. He's very good. I just don't know if he fits them. Like if you ask me right now, he's linked to Liverpool, I say go and pay the money. He fits it like a glove. I'm not negotiating it. He fits him like a glove. I look at Arsenal and I don't know. I think I said it, Terry, last Straight Facts. I said that whenever Arsenal sign a striker, they need to play in a way where they start catering for the striker because they don't already. They don't have an out-and-out 9 where you don't look at Arsenal and I'm like, you know what? Our job today is defeat the ball to our striker as many times as we can so we can win the game. Their game is a lot different, and they haven't played or catered to a striker for about 3-4 years there. Basically since Aubameyang. Even Aubameyang was playing down the left a lot. You get him, I think there's a lot of adjustments that need to be made. So it's I don't know if it fits. For 50 million, and this is what I'm saying. Osimhen, I think Osimhen just is the perfect fit for them. And I don't think they'll go for him. But if you're really going to splash big money, if you're going to put 50 for Marmoush, just go pay 60 for Osimhen. Or 62, because that's his release cost. 62 and Osimhen fits you more. You don't have to tweak a lot for Osimhen. I don't know. I like Marmoush. I just don't know if he fits Arsenal.
I hear that. Listen, viewers, give us your thoughts, give us your feelings, give us your opinions on that in the comments section below. I mean, they're linked to a lot of other players as well. I think Nico Williams one holds water in terms of they like him. Kudus, which obviously winds up down. They're obviously looking at him, but I think West Ham have priced any move out. The same as Isak and Newcastle asking for 150 million. I just don't see those happening, but there does appear to be some deals. Marmoush is one of them. Nico Williams. These are sort of 40 to 50 million pound deals that I just think, again, a lot of Arsenal fans don't think they'll spend, which is a fair point to have. A lot of the reports talk about the club talking to agents, talking to the players, trying to convince them. But if they've got 100 million to spend, if they could get a couple of players of that kind of level in, I think it could throw a real spanner into the works in terms of the league still might be out of reach because Liverpool look formidable. But you add a couple of players like that into the attack, the Champions League becomes a very different conversation. They've been very good in terms of not leaking too many goals in the Champions League. They can add some more firepower into their team in the second half of the season. It could be different for them, but there's a lot of gooners that don't think that their club has the ambitions. Arsenal agreed terms with Cunha for a 50 million fee. I mean, I haven't seen that anyway. You could be right, but I'm sure that'd be. I mean, a lot of Arsenal fans would love that if that was to be true. For a player like him to come in.
Yeah, if that was true, that would be everywhere right now. I just couldn't check the timeline. I can't see that anywhere. Maybe that's what he's hoping for. But yeah, it don't feel like they're gonna splash, and all of the sort of the noises coming. And the thing is, you can never trust what Arteta says anyway, right? So he could be downplaying things, and then they go and splash money.
Yeah.
But it just it doesn't feel like and like they are. And who was they're looking to recall? Was it Vieira on loan? Potentially.
Yeah, bro. If they could recall Vieira, and what's the other kid, the Brazilian kid, Marquinhos?
Yeah,
that's just not enough. It's just not enough for them. English Challenge FC here says Paul Victor is the perfect United signing for a 10 or a 9. Bring him now. Fair enough. Staffy keeps saying Xerxes has more shots, but won't say the numbers. Højlund 0.7, Xerxes 0.8. That's practically identical. Very dishonest framing, according to Charles.
What's dishonest is saying that I didn't state numbers because I did say he's averaging more than double. So you are being dishonest. If you want exact numbers, I already said Højlund's averaging 1 shot per game. So if you want the actual numbers, Xerxes has 2.1. So you're dishonest, not me.
Where do you get your stat from?
That stat, you can go to FootMob, you'll find it. He's actually averaging a lot more.
Yeah. No, I'm asking because some websites stats can be different.
Yeah,
I was on an XG website the other day just researching it, And what they have, Man United's XG this season versus a different XG website was completely different. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, it don't fucking help anyone, does it? But yeah, I hear you. And thank you, Charles. Thank you very much for the super chat. Just wanted to big up my dude's fresh fade.
Big up all.
Yeah,
he's talking about you, Lawless.
You got a complete fade there, bruv. Complete fade. Yeah, thank you very much, Luke, for letting us know about Salah saying he's leaving. I'm still not convinced. Jay here says Nico Williams is on 200k per week and has much worse stats than Martinelli. Arteta will turn him into a backwards passing robot too. I'd give my liver for Kvaratskhelia and Isak at Arsenal.
No one's getting Kvaratskhelia. Let's just be honest. That club ain't selling him to anyone for less than 100 million.
But yeah, and that's 250 million combined. I think you can probably buy a liver on the market for less than 250 million. I don't think livers sell for that much money. I don't know how much a liver sells for. I never tried to buy one, but I can't imagine it being $250 million, Jay. But yeah, I know you're obviously being sarcastic, but yeah, they would be tremendous signings. Arsenal would pull them off. This weekend, Staffy, it's a big game, but many people believe that Liverpool will destroy Manchester United. How do you see this weekend going, mate?
I was hoping we'd go the whole episode without speaking about that. I thought you forgot. That was a good thing. You know, we hit the hour and 30 mark. We're not going to speak about the game. Good thing.
We're going a bit longer today. If you guys have got the time, yeah, we're well behind, but we can stay a bit longer if you want. So,
yeah, it's not going to be a good day. Listen, I heard Arne Slot in his press conference say that he tripled down on it that United are much better than what the table shows. And you know, Arne Slot might be a very nice guy. He seems like someone who likes to compliment people. Maybe if you want an honest opinion, don't ask Arne Slot, because if you're wearing a horrible top and you go ask for your opinion, hey, how do I look in this? He's still gonna tell you look amazing. Maybe the top is shit, but he won't tell you, because we're not much better than what we are in the table. Maybe we should be better. Don't get me wrong. I don't think we should be 14th, but I don't know about much better. Arne
That's
Slot
just managers. They always do that. You big up the opposition.
Yeah, he's just doing that. He's doing the PR thing, and he has to stay respectful, be humble about it. But yeah, listen, if he honestly believes that, I'm assuming maybe he doesn't watch United a lot, so that might give us a chance to win the game. Because if he does realistically watch us, he wouldn't say that. Listen, we're not. It's going to be such a tough game, and it's so sad that we are already struggling. And when you look at our first half of the season, we actually played a lot of the easier games. There's a lot of teams that we lost to that we still have to play away. So our second half of the season is much tougher than the first. And it starts with a trip to Anfield. And with the way they're performing right now and with their tactical flexibility, I honestly give us no chance. I give us no chance at all. I don't think we'll get battered like a lot of people are saying, but I think our chances have never been slimmer to pick up, not a win, to pick up a point in general. They're absolutely steamrolling everyone. I mean, you just saw them last week, Lawless. So I don't need to tell you what they could do. And with the way we're playing and with the mistakes that we're making, and I don't even think Amorim, I trust him. I have a lot of faith in him to know how he wants to approach the game. But I don't think it's clear cut how you can look at this United team and say, how did I approach the game? How did I set up against Liverpool? How can they nullify Liverpool? I don't think of any way or any 11 or any approach for this game where we go and we nullify Liverpool. I generally don't. I don't think we'll lose 5, 6, 7-0 like people were saying, but I just don't see anything. I think we're going to have to move Ahmed back to the wing because we're struggling to score goals. So we're going to have to put Ahmed back in right wing and bring in an extra attacker, or maybe put Anthony in right wing to bring in an extra attacker in those wing backs. We don't score goals. It's statistically proven we don't score goals when Dallo and Mazraoui are playing. And we have a backline that's leaking mistakes, a lot of personal mistakes. I look at this game and I'm like, I don't even want Martinez to start. But if Martinez doesn't start, what does that mean? Does that mean I play Mazraoui there? Or do I play Euro? Euro's much younger. It's a headache that I don't want to have. And I feel bad for Amorim. I wouldn't want to be him. I really wouldn't want to be him going into this game. You look at this Liverpool team, they're absolutely flying. Their back line to their midfield to the front line. I don't even need to speak about the front line. You guys see them every week. Salah, whether it's Jota, whether it's Gakpo, whether it's Diaz, they're all performing at high levels. Their midfield, Gravenberch has been one of the best midfielders of the season. Him and McAllister have been doing a great job together. I don't see how we go into this game and get anything, honestly. And this. I'm not even trying to be negative. Like, I just don't know. I don't know. So it's not going to be a good day for us, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Staffy. Like, I feel like it's one of them games where, like I said, everyone's predicting a battering, but I think Man United will go up there and park the bus. I don't think you'll be giving up as many chances maybe as you did to Newcastle in that first half, and probably set up closes like you did against Arsenal when the pressure is on, and the expectation will be on Liverpool. You know what I mean? And it's, you know, it's not a local derby, but it's a derby. So yeah, I can't see it being, like you said, 5-6 or the 7-0 that happened before. I think it'll be one of them ones where Man United will frustrate Liverpool for large portions of the game, but the goal is going to be inevitable, really, because they've got too much talent. Man United are a team struggling. So yeah, it wouldn't really surprise me. The expectations are like 5-0 and then it ends up being like a 1 or 2, you know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think?
Look, we have to park the bus if people want to use that expression. We need to be very difficult to break down, and we need to the sort of people predicting 6 and 7 and 8s. If that happens, then I want some contracts of players mutually or forcefully tore up, kicked out of football club. When we lost to them 7-0 a few seasons back, that wasn't bad tactics. That wasn't Liverpool being amazing. That was players giving up. The reason I say that is we came third in the league that season. So even being objective about it, there's 15, 16, 17 other teams that are worse than us. And they all went away to Liverpool. Some of them got relegated with terribly poor win ratios, terribly poor even draw levels. Lost so many games. They didn't concede 7. That's players giving up. For me, that's complete. If we sort of ship 5, 6, 7 goals plus, there is no excuse for the players. There is nothing. We need to be hard to break down. We need to be resolute. We've got to press at the right times. It's going to be very hard for us to get anything out of this game. 110%. I'm not looking forward to it. I have very little hope of anything more than hopefully a narrow defeat. When I say narrow, like honestly, right now, I hate saying this. If someone said, Terry, you can take a 1-0 defeat now, I'd probably say yes, because it's recoverable. There's no damage in terms of, like, there's no banter attached to that per se. There isn't, oh my God, you got slapped up 5-6. I am worried about these players more than anything else. I'm worried about if they concede early, where will their heads go? I'm worried about if they get a bit of adversity in the game, where do their heads lead to? That for me, more so than 3 at the back, 5 at the back, 10 at the back. I don't give a fuck. That I'm fine with. I think Amorim will set us up in a way where we are hard to break down. I know he didn't against West Ham in the opening 20 minutes. He made a mistake. I expect him to not make that mistake again. I'm just fearful that some of these players, Lisandro Martinez, as an example,
I think he should get dropped, if I'm being honest.
No, I hear you. I'm just worried that they will make a mistake, and then that kind of, you know, when someone yawns in front of you and then you all start yawning, that starts to happen, and then we concede 3, and then players don't start working. They don't keep tracking back, and they just give up a little bit. And if you do that to Liverpool, they're our biggest rivals. They will go for the jugular, not just for their own points and goal difference, but we could be the team to stick it to Man United. And I am fearful of it. And people say, Terry, you got PTSD. I have. That 7-0, I worry about it happening again. Buying that from the time that happened till now, if we'd have started the rebuild correctly under Ten Hag, had bought the right types of players, had the right culture at the club, we'd be too strong for that to happen to again. It shouldn't ever happen again. And
that team that lost 7-0 played better than this team. We actually should have never lost 7-0. If you remember that first half, we actually should have been winning.
That team did play well, but what that team had, and a lot of them players are still here, is that team had no ability to handle adversity. They're a team that, when the going gets, they're fair weather riders. So when it's sunny and it's warm and it's dry, they're out on their motorbikes. Yeah, love it. Fair weather riders, we call them in England. Gets a little bit cold, a little bit wet, their motorbikes get covered up, put away, and they don't use them again until the summer. Now, I'm not a motorbike enthusiast, but I've got family that are. Real motorbike enthusiasts hate riders like that. They call them fair weather riders. You're not a real motorbike person, right? We have players like that. When the going gets tough, when the weather's a little bit, don't literally mean the weather. I'm just speaking it like when the weather ain't great, when it's a little cold, when something goes wrong, they don't want to be there. and they stop playing. And that for me is what I'm more focused on in this game than almost anything else. What is the attitude of the players like from the first whistle to the end? And look, if we could pull something off, if we could stop Liverpool and get a stinky 0-0 draw, I'm not saying I'll celebrate it per se, but I'll walk away with a little smile on my face. Like I really, really would. And some will say, Terry, oh, how the mighty have fallen. We have fallen. The same people that will say that will say to us, you're a finished, dusted club. And then when you say I'll be happy with a draw away at Liverpool, how can you say that? That's why I said earlier, I'm not having those conversations anymore. I'm just not having those because it's just nonsense. I saw someone yesterday, same guy, tweet this, and I went, do you know what? I've got to let it all go. Ha ha, United have got no money. United are broke. The next day when there was talk about more cuts, how dare your club make cuts? Yesterday you said we're broke and finished. Now you're saying we shouldn't make cuts. Those two things have to exist at the same time. If you're right, my friend, it's a hard conversation to have. But yeah, listen, I'd take a 1-0 right now. But look, if we can grab a draw, I'll be happy. I just can't see it though in my heart of hearts. To be honest,
you're right in terms of you have to not concede early. That's going to be the key because you get that early goal, then you worry it's the floodgates open, and then they get the second and heads drop. If the longer you can hold out, the more chance you have of getting a narrow defeat. But I can't even see a draw or anything. Yeah.
It's like Twisted Brothers questions. I'm just not interacting with these anymore because you watch everything I do, Twisted. You watch every video I do. You're even in the group chat for many years. So you know my stance on this. You know my views on this. You don't have to keep asking the questions over and over and over again in hope that I suddenly give a different answer. So you can go, you said something different before. And normally when I change my mind, I've already addressed why I changed my mind at an earlier date. So I'm just not answering them anymore. Terry, would you take a 3-0 loss right now? No, I wouldn't. No, like I just said, I'd probably take the 1-0 right now with how fearful I am of this game. And it's only because of the run of defeats that we've had as well. And look, I mean, what I am intrigued to see this week is how we look after a week of training. It's the first week of training he's had at the club. His first 2 or 3 training sessions with the team. The frustrating bit, we're going to have 2 weeks running where we're going to have training. But the first 2 games we have where there's training is away at Liverpool and away at Arsenal, where we have terrible records. So it's just the next couple of weeks, I think, for Man United fans, I'm looking at players' attitude. I'm looking at how hard they run. I'm looking at them keeping in shape. And I'm looking for them to fight more so than how good do we move the ball? What do the patterns look like? How many goals did we score? I'm really focused on the attitude of these players at this point, and I am hopeful, Ruben could get a bit more out of them, that he can get them up to another level. Maybe the mistakes they've been making in games, maybe we don't see it. We're football fans. We're not trained like these coaches. Maybe in the next couple of weeks, they work on things and it clicks for a few people how they're meant to play. I was looking at someone used Eddie Howe as an example the other day to say, well, Eddie Howe got his team winning straight away and Ruben's crap. It's not true. They won one of their first 10 games and they lost most of them. It wasn't until the January when they started having training sessions because they weren't playing twice a week. And by the way, they had more training sessions than United did. And started buying people that they started to improve. But he implemented these systems straight away. And I think that it just takes time. And I'm just annoyed. Not annoyed, that's the wrong word. I'm speaking as a Man United fan wholly here. First time we get 2 weeks of training since Ruben's been here and have games with Liverpool away and Arsenal away. It's just fucking bad luck, I think. Bad luck, especially if you come out on listen, I say bad luck. Come out of that with a draw and a win, and maybe you view it differently, but I just can't see that right now, personally. I can't.
Who do you have at the club in terms of players that you look to understand the significant importance of this, like historically, to realize this is a massive, important game to the fans? Because I think that's always key. That's what I look to when West Ham are playing. Them players that know this is a dog.
The manager spoke today about that. He said we're what did he say? He said we're basically desperate for leaders in this team. I forgot the exact words he said, but something within those words, that we're desperate for leaders.
Yeah. So you're
generally no one.
He's right. So I think the players understand the significance. So I would answer slightly differently. I think they get it. They're just not leaders. And when the going gets tough, they cower away. It's their nature. And you'll probably find, this is, again, if we had the access the mainstream did, I'd love to sit there and talk to football clubs and ex-pros and ask them, who were the players that cowered away? Not to try and throw dirt, but I think loads of squads have players like what United have got. But what they also have, the top teams, is 2, 3, 4, 5 leaders. There was a time where Man United had something like 4 or 5, maybe even more, international captains all in their team. So theoretically, you had 6 or 7 captains on the pitch every week. So yeah, you might have 4 or 5 players whose heads drop when things go wrong. But if you've got those leaders to pick you up, we just don't have great leaders. And we slagged off Maguire and we slagged off Bruno, and they're not been particularly great. At the same time, it's not their fault that they're maybe the best leaders we've got. The club need to recruit. But I think it's one of the things that Declan Rice has. You'll know this. I think above and beyond any ability that you think he does or does not have, his leadership ability is worth so much money, because I think there are more technical footballers in the world than there are leaders of football teams, and you've got to get that balance right. Sometimes you need an individual that if you can get both things, if you can get someone who's a technician and an amazing consistent footballer and a great leader, then you're absolutely laughing. But yeah, we have, as Staffy said, no one that I have any faith in to do that for us right now.
Well, Bruno's back, isn't he, from his suspension?
The last time we went there, we didn't lose and Bruno wasn't there, so that's not really an advantage, is it, Lawless?
Yeah.
But I have a little bit of a trivia question to everyone in the chat and maybe to the panel. Everyone, just take a guess. When's the last time United scored a goal in Anfield in the league?
That would have been Wayne Rooney back in 2015.
No, I think that was the last win.
We won. Then the last goal must have been under Ollie.
So it's Ollie.
I don't remember the date.
It was Jesse Lingard in 2018.
There we go. So was that Ollie or Jose? But Jose, wasn't it?
It was Jose. Remember when Shaqiri scored 2 goals and Jose got sacked?
Yes. He
scored a bunch of goals with Ollie.
Okay. But we haven't scored there in 7 years.
Yeah, since 2018.
This is one of your driest goals, you know what I mean? Like, in terms of goals.
Fucking hell.
So you got to hope that defense is on point, because you ain't outscoring Liverpool.
That's crazy. This here says, Arsenal fan, I need to see United get embarrassed or Liverpool drop points. If Liverpool win a dodgy 2-1 with a last-minute goal, I will be fuming. I get why you'd think that. We have not scored a goal in the league since City. This is true. We've been awful since then. We've been awful. But
you haven't seen a goal in how many games?
3.
Fuck. Do you know what? I haven't seen a goal in 2 games, actually. Actually, no. I've seen a game. No. It's only 1 game.
You've seen, you had 1 goal in 3 games. 1 goal.
1 goal in 3 games. It feels like I haven't seen any goals.
And the worst, it's all over Christmas as well. The games are so compact. It's like how my team lost every Christmas game and not scored a fucking goal. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
Imagine it's worse for you guys. You live in England. It's Christmas time. You're sitting there. You're gathering with your family. I'm imagining a family full of United fans. They're just all sitting there. Let's watch the game together. No goals. They watch again. No goals. They watch for a 3rd time. No goals. What a holiday season for them.
Mate, it's been crazy. It's been crazy. The worst part about us is, and I'm sure the same as Chelsea, in most of those games, we should have scored a number of goals. I mean, even Newcastle, and rivals don't like hearing it. But we brought Manu on. We took control back of the game. Højlund should be hitting the target at least, if not scoring. Casemiro should be scoring. Maguire's hit the post. Fair enough, as an example. There was another one that came later in the game. Lenny Euro from a header. Like, the goal was gaping. This is what's annoying. Goals change games. If Casemiro's goal goes in and we maintain the possession like we did, you don't know the way a game can end up. And it's why at this particular juncture, this is why I say Gyökeres scores one of those chances, in my opinion, and the game could change. This here says, big up Clueless, Stuffy, and Tell. Will die on this hill. If United keep Højlund and stick with Amorim, he will score 20 goals per game in the Prem. You mean per season in the Prem in 2 seasons' time, is what Tony says here. It's a big prediction, Tony. It's a big prediction, T. Lots learning from Ten Hag's media gaslighting. Yeah, but it's sensible to do that as well. If you really want to, if you tell teams, if he said this is the worst Man United team ever and they beat him 4-0, it's not an achievement. Boxers to get it wrong all the time. If you're a boxer, you should always big your opponent up and say how great they are, because it makes your CV look a little bit better. Do you know what I mean? So,
what manager's ever done that before a game, saying, "Yeah, they're terrible right now. This should be easy."
There's no point Slot. Listen, they're much better than we are, but there's no point Slot doing a team talk for us, because we have seen in the past managers do things like that And then it gives the other team a little bit of a G up. It gives the other team a little bit of a boost to go, all right, we're gonna show you then. And the worst thing he could do is say Man United are crap, because that might just help Man United lose 1-0, not 4-0. Do you know what I mean? Another big game this weekend is for Chelsea, Don. You know, no win in 3 games, lost in the last minute to your local rivals, and then outclassed, really, especially in front of goal, by a team that hadn't won a league game at home all year. How are you feeling about going away to a Crystal Palace team that are also in some good form at the moment?
Yeah. Listen, I've lost a little bit of confidence in the team, as you would expect. When your team's not scoring many goals, you are going to lose a little bit of confidence in them. Because like you've said, Terry, during this period against Everton, we had some good chances in that first half. Against Fulham, we had some good chances. Could have gone 2 goals up if Cucurella scored his header. Even against Ipswich, we had some good chances in that game as well. But we just haven't been able to find the back of the net. You know, Maresca's in-game management for me in the past 3 games has not been good enough. You know, he went with a Disasi right back in the last game, and Cuckoo up top, when we've seen numerous times it does not work. So this is where we have to go back to basics, Terry. You play every single person that starts in their position. You know, everyone in front of goal, please start to click again, because it's not long ago I was bigging up how clinical we've been in front of goal. It's not long ago I was bigging up how good Jackson's been in front of goal as well. Recently, he hasn't been the Jackson that we've been seeing this season. He's gone back to the Jackson of old. So I feel like he just needs that goal to get back into the groove of things. But up against Crystal Palace, you're facing a team that set up quite low in the block. You know, they put so many bodies in the box. That's something that we're struggling with at the minute, Terry, because our attackers right now, our wingers especially, they're underperforming, man. Neto, you know what I'm saying? He's not really attacking the box enough. He's good at crossing the ball, but that's the only thing he does, really. He hasn't really got much variation in his game. I'm not seeing him attacking the box to try and win the penalty, you know, to try and lay it off to Palmer, try and lay it off to Jackson. It's all about getting it on his left foot, whipping it in. And I'm like, bro, we haven't got Osimhen. We haven't got Omarodian. We haven't got these guys that can just head in the ball like that. Stop doing it all the time. Change up your game. Same thing as Madueke when he gets in the box. Very indecisive, like I've said 1,000,001 times. The only person really that's good in the box right now is Sancho. You know what I'm saying? He's the only one really that seems to really create something in the box for us. So we need to get back to, you know, our attackers on the wings, especially being a little bit more decisive in front of goal. And yeah, right now, Enzo, Caicedo, they're looking quite tired, but they've been playing quite well. The last game, Palmer and Enzo, they didn't get any GA, but if you actually watch that game, they're very influential. I need a similar sort of thing as them, as that game, sorry. And we've got to make sure that on the transition, we're switched on. Because Palace with Sarr, Eze, and Mateta, bro, they can get at you in the transition. Look what they did to Arsenal. You know what I'm saying? Look what they did to Villa the other week, right? Same thing against, there's another team, I think Bournemouth as well. They had a few struggles there as well. So we've got to be careful in the transition. But in this game, Terry, like I said, when Arsenal went to Selhurst Park the other week, we've got to make sure that we're silencing that crowd. Got to make sure that we score first as well, because I think that's just going to take them out of the game and their confidence will drop. But if we're chasing the game again, right now, how we're playing, I can see a draw at most, if anything, if they score first. You know what I'm saying? So we've just got to be switched on, man. Everything's got to be aligned how it was before. Maresca's kind of gone a little bit weird the past 3 games. You know what I mean? Really weird the past 3 games. He's making some mistakes that don't need to be made, if that makes sense. So we just need to take it back to basics, man.
I hear that. I hear that. You've got a little smirk on your face there, Lawless.
Yeah, do you know what? I was just sitting there, I was thinking like about it, like how they was it, you know, close. They was in a title race, and we're talking about, and you know, I was even saying it. Yeah, they're in the titles. Say it. I was just looking at the table, man. If they don't win this game, Newcastle are just 3 points behind them, so they're getting dragged into a top 4 race to the point where top 4 is even going to be looking, you know, like a fight. Like they're gonna have to fight for top 4 because, yeah, Man City ain't, you know, they got their win. They're definitely getting 3 points against us this weekend. So Man City will be on 34 points. If Chelsea lose, then Man City are 1 point behind them. Newcastle win their game. They're on equal points. If they draw, it's still looking tight and the pressure's on and they're out of form, man. It's mad. I couldn't believe it. Of how close they were, them pivotal few games, and winnable games where they could have, you know, been really close to Liverpool within touching distance.
100%.
Now, 10 points.
And that's why I'm annoyed. And that's why I'm annoyed at everyone that kept running from it, bro. Like, I know everyone's got different definitions of a title race, but those people that were saying that, they did not predict us to lose against Ipswich, right? They didn't even predict it for us to drop points against Fulham at home. You know what I mean? So they can say, oh, yeah, this is what I was telling you, we're not in a title race. But, bro, your predictions were saying something else. You know what I'm saying? So, listen, I've been disappointed the past 3 games, Lawless. Like you, no one expected Chelsea to have a blip at this moment in time. You know, the way we were playing, the way we were scoring goals, the squad that we've got, you know, we're not really seeing João Felix being used at the minute. Nkunku up top is useless. You know what I'm saying? It's just not been good. Not been good enough from the in-game management, the lineups, and the players as well. They've got to take blame. So that's what I'm saying. It's a hard reset this weekend, man.
How confident are you? Like, if you were to drop points in this game, how confident would you be of top 4? Would you be nervous in terms of Man City, Newcastle coming up behind?
No. We'll still get top 4. We'll still get top 4 if we drop points. I'll still be confident that we'll get it. Because to get top 4, bro, you're up against inconsistent teams. You know, I know Newcastle are on good form at the minute, but so were Chelsea a second ago. You know what I'm saying? Things can change very quickly.
Yeah.
That's how I'm kind of looking at it right now. I don't want to get dragged into it. I want to get top 4 comfortably, bro. I was looking to finish potentially even second. You know what I'm saying? And now it's looking like, you know, most likely going to be third, maybe where we'll finish. But you don't want to get dragged into it, man, like you're saying.
Are you a few Arsenal fans in the comments are saying, do you regret saying that you have a better team than Arsenal now?
No, well, bro, was playing better than Arsenal at the time when I said it. And it was a fact. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm seeing a lot of Arsenal fans trying to revise their performances. Like, cool. You did well against Brentford without Saka, fair enough. But let's see you maintain that sort of quality. Let's see Nwaneri carry on doing carry on playing the way he did the other day. This is what people like to do, Terry. Yeah. Now they're laughing at, oh yeah, you know, title race. Bro, it was in a title race. People like to run away from it. I don't run away from these things. And right now we're in a top 4 battle. That's what it is. It could change again. If we go on a run of wins again, Liverpool start to drop points, we might find ourselves back in there. Things could change like that, bro. So let's see what happens, man. There's still half of the season to play, bro.
The thing is, Don, don't you think, like, if you look at it that way, of like, yeah, we were playing better than them, so therefore we have a better squad. Now, well, I can't say they're playing, but they did win, so I guess they're technically playing better than you. But then would you say now their players are better than you? Like, if it keeps like you're playing better, so your players are better. Now they're playing, but now it's their players. Do you know what I mean? Rather than looking at it on form wise, you can look at team go, they're better form, but in the grand scheme of things, they've got the better squad. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think they've got a better squad than us. I don't rate their squad. Okay. I don't rate their squad. I don't rate their squad like that. So you're asking me the wrong question right now, Lawless. At the end of the day, we weren't second place by mistake, right? We were second place because we were playing better than them. Do you know what I'm saying? Whether they like it or not. And right now, they've obviously, they've had a swing of wins or swing of results, whereas we haven't. It was just the other week they failed to win 2 games in a row, whereas we did. You know what I mean? So again, people are getting a little bit too carried away at the minute, man. It's December, like I said. You know, there's still a lot of games to play, or January even. There's still a lot of games to play, man.
Yeah,
I think focusing on me. They need to focus on Liverpool, bro. They need to make sure that Slot don't come here on his first day and win it, bro. That's what they need to focus on. Because I'm gonna crash it on you if that happens. Trust me.
Well, he's gonna win it. He's winning.
Of course, he's gonna win it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think people are overreacting with Chelsea. It's been a bad couple of games, and one of them. I look back at the Fulham game. Should have won. Should have put the game to bed. It's not as though he didn't have the chances to, and then you just collapse right at the end, and that happens. The Ipswich game, Ipswich play really. You probably, the mistake you made is you actually should have done. I know the penalty stopped you from being able to do what Arsenal did. I feel with Ipswich they've been unlucky, and they've actually played quite well against a lot of the better teams this season. They've just not got the results because they have a brilliant counter attack. It's got technique, it's got power, and it's got acceleration. And because you're 1-0 down because of the penalty and you didn't take your chances, then yes, Desarcia makes a mistake, but you're open because you're not sitting back. And it's why when Arsenal 1-0 up, as much as it made the game boring from a neutral perspective, they did the right thing by not overcommitting to score a third because Ipswich weren't trying to score either. So if Arsenal would have committed an extra 2 or 3 men to their attack to go 2-0 up, but then get caught on the counter and conceded, everyone would say stupid and naive. And I think the penalty that you gave away changed that game massively. But equally, if you had all those chances again, all those shots again, Palmer was so unlucky with a free kick. Palmer's shot from distance, it was well saved. If you had the same chances again and they had the same chances, I think you win 8 times out of 10. So I feel like I know it's your club, so you view it very differently and you're emotional about it because it's your team. But I feel like Chelsea fans shouldn't be throwing baby out with the bathwater. Yes, it's frustrating because you've had these 3 games on the bounce, but Dave made a great point on the show yesterday. If you'd have lost 3 games in the last, say, 10 or 12, but they were spread out, no one will be saying anything. It's because they've come in a short space of time. However, what you need to be mindful of is it becoming 4 and 5. And I think that I think you'll beat Palace. I think you'll beat Palace narrowly. I think it'll be a 2-1 win, something along those lines. I think you'll beat Palace this weekend. It'll be a tough game because Palace are good, but I think Palace will give you. I see you beating them. 2-1 would be my prediction personally.
We need to score first, Terry, man. I'm tired of chasing games. Honestly, I'm tired of chasing games. We just need to get goals back into the team. Yeah, and it's crazy for me to even say that. Like, when we played the harder fixtures, like, obviously United aren't great, but it was still United away. You know, Arsenal, you had Liverpool. I was a little bit more lenient about the lack of goals I was seeing. We didn't have Enzo in the lineup as well. You know what I mean? But now, bro, we need to be taking these teams out, man, because that's how you're going to get top 4. You need to beat these lesser teams. To win the league, it's the Arsenals you need to beat, the Man Cities you need to beat. But to get top 4, you have to beat the Palaces and whatnot.
Yeah, I hear you. Another game that's one to get brief details on, Lawless. You play, obviously, Manchester City. Now, Man United have beaten them recently, so surely you must beat them as well, because you see that you think you're better than we are. So are you going to beat City?
Well, if we're better, we're marginally better. We're 1 point better than Man United. But this, I have no confidence whatsoever in this game. Bowen could be out for a considerable length of time, potentially for 3 months, broken foot. So we ain't got our best player, and we are massively out of form. Our defense is a shambles. We're not creating enough clear-cut chances. Mate, we're going to roll the clock back. It's going to be prime Pep in action. Haaland's going to have a field day. I have no confidence, but I'm checked out. That's why don't ask me, like, how do you feel about Bowen getting injured? I was like, I feel sad for him, but I'm not that bothered because I'm checked out for the season. I'm just like,
already.
Yeah, I'm checked out, man, because I'm just looking at these games. I'm looking at the way that Lopetegui is putting this team out, the constant chopping and changing all the time. We're just going to stay up just because we've got enough quality, man. It's just poor. And
so Lawless, do you want to apologize to me when I warned you about this manager?
Well, listen. We want to do this. I will never apologize, right, for giving a new manager or a new coach a chance, right? Same way you was positive about Ten Hag. You know what I mean? I'm like, I didn't want Lopetegui, right? I was vocal about that. But when he was there, right, let's go. You're getting my full support, my full backing. So, look, I have to take the L. I'll take an L.
He's a very limited manager, Lawless, and you finally saw it. And when I told you in the beginning of the season, it wasn't just because I just want to shit on your parade. I actually liked some of the signings that you did. I thought it was mostly overrated. Don't get me wrong. I said your summer was. I was hearing you guys saying crazy stuff about top 6 and whatever. I was like, no, it's not that good, but it's decent. But with the players that you added and the players that you had in your possession, I expected a better manager. Like, there's so many managers that I could name that could have came in, and not necessarily that all the results would have went your way, but you would have seen a better brand of football at least. Like, I could see someone as simple as like Graham Potter coming in and actually doing better with this team. Like, this guy Lopetegui, bro, when I was saying he's the Spanish David Moyes, I was saying it for a reason. And if anything, I owe David Moyes an apology, because David Moyes at least knew how to set you guys up for the counter. You generally have a team that most times I see you guys conceding chances, trying to set up for the counter, but you don't have counter-attacking players. So I just never understood why this manager is not doing more.
Well, we play with more possession. That's the thing, Staffy. We have more of the ball, so we're trying to control the game more, but we are so just lazy, slow, mindless in possession that we're giving the ball away in dangerous areas. We're playing a high line. So one misplaced pass, boom, counter-attack, goal. And there's so much space about. You've got players like Mavropanos who should not be playing in a high line. That's like when you was playing like Maguire like that. Do you know what I mean? And it just wasn't working.
It's so funny. Mavropanos plays for your club. How long ago was this guy at Arsenal again? It must be a decade ago now, right?
I think he's decent. Like, he's like Craig Dawson, when Craig Dawson looked good for us because he was playing in a deeper side. He's one of them backs to the wall type of players, Mavropanos. Like he's not one of these quick high line players. And yeah, it's just that's hate slow, stagnant build up. I know Man City can do it and they can make it look good and pass and pass the ball around and boom, they've cut a team open. We can't do that. We just stand there out of ideas. So you're up. This is going to be such a easy game for Man City. That was the easiest game Liverpool had all season was against us. We'll see what Man United do, but that was probably the easiest game they'll ever have. We didn't put up a fight. It's going to be very similar at this game. So
yeah, I just don't see how
are you actually going to finish above Palace then? Yeah, because this is London. You told me you're going to finish above them, right? And right now, you know what I mean? Are you going to finish above them?
Well, listen. I think we will. I think there has to be a breaking point. There has to be a breaking point where we make a change. We've got Man City, I think, and then we've got Villa in the cup away, so we can just say we're out for that. We've got Fulham away, Fulham at home, sorry, which Fulham are much better than us at the moment. So yeah, man, I can't see it without Bowen as well. Unless we can bring in some quality, which I think we're in Man United's position, sell to buy. I can't see it. But Palace, they may beat flipping Chelsea this week because Chelsea couldn't get a win over them at the Bridge when Chelsea were in better form and Palace were in worse form. So unfortunately, that's going to be a good one for them, and we may be.
Well, you don't want that happening. It's not good for United or you, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we both could finish below Palace, and then we're all in the mud. We're both in the mud.
Don't worry, man. It's 14 games now without Palace, without them beating us. So we beat them 13 times in a row, and then we drew with them last game.
Yeah, it'll probably be a draw, but I think Man City could. Obviously, they're going to beat us, right? So that'd be 2 wins on the spin. I think this would be good for Man City, get their confidence up. I don't think we're going to see prime Man City kick on from here, but I think there'll be enough improvement for them to pick enough points up to probably get top 4. And then it all depends on what they do in January. And, of course, the charges, the case, I think, is the end of this month, right?
Well, yeah, City are a really interesting situation because there's a lot of briefings I've seen and a lot of their fans reacting to the idea they might still sign no one in January. And if they sign no one in January, I know they might feel they can't win the league, 14 points off top. Well, they're 14 points off top and Liverpool have that game in hand. So I get that. But they can still win the Champions League and they can still win the FA Cup. So why wouldn't you spend the money to do it? Yeah. If they buy no one in January, I think that feeds into, doesn't mean they're correct, but it feeds into the theory that maybe they're holding back until they get the results of this court case. In case they are found guilty, in case they are fined huge amounts of money, you don't want to, I suppose you, and I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying it feeds into the theory of do we want to spend 250 million and higher wages than just to be in trouble? Maybe because I can't think of another logical reason if the briefings are true and maybe they're playing it down. What's more logical is they're playing it down to get lower prices, right? That makes more sense. But if they end up signing no one in January, then I don't think City will make the top 4. I know they won the last game. They might beat you, but they didn't look good against Leicester. I don't think they didn't look good. They should have conceded. And performance-wise, I haven't seen a good City performance in 2.5-3 months. Not one. So
that's what you need to do for this game, Lawless, man. Just be a little bit more pragmatic, and you can get them on the counter, bruv. Because Vardy had a good chance in the game. Like Leicester were creating some good chances, man. I'll probably say they had the better chances in the game. In all honesty, man. So
but here's the
I know you're
thing,
missing Bowen.
who's playing up front for them? That's the issue. They got too many.
Full Krug, innit? Is it Full Krug?
Yeah, it's going to be.
He just said play on the counter, and then he's saying Full Krug.
Kudus will be, at least Kudus won't be on the left, so that's good. He'll probably be on the right because Bowen's not there, and Somerville should start. But we are too slow. So if we sit there and try and soak up pressure and hit him on the counter attack, the only one that we've really got with the pace is Somerville. Kudus isn't what I'd associate as a pacey player. He's quick enough, but he can maybe carry the ball.
He's still very fast.
He'll carry the ball, though, innit?
Yeah, you can carry the ball, and then maybe you've got Somerville bursting down to be an option. But as a team, we don't counter-attack as a team. I've seen so many times where you'll see Kudus have the ball up and he's got like 4 defenders around him and no one to lay off to. So I can't even hope of
Not a
like,
good transitional team. I agree.
That's because you're not playing as a team, man. When you're watching West Ham, you just see that they pass responsibility onto Kudus and just say, "Go do your thing, bro." And I'm like, "Come on, man. You know what I mean? This is a clear sign you need to change, bro." Like he hasn't done enough to keep getting this time. I know he had that little period where he could have got sacked and he got over it, but it's back to the same old shit, isn't it?
And apparently Sullivan is taking charge of our transfers again. So we've got that.
Sullivan.
David Sullivan. Corn Baron David Sullivan is taking
him and his son, bro.
Yeah. What other club has a man who made his living in adult entertainment in charge of their transfers? Who they're signing?
He sounds not a serious guy, as well. I used to see him in Faces. So boy.
This is beyond embarrassing. We got Steidson in. We were trying to do Man United, we was doing it before Man United, the new structure at the same time. With new structure, director of football, choosing the signings for the coach, brilliant. And then because Sullivan decided to go the cheap option and get Lopetegui in, he's decided, this way don't work. Let's go back to me, going to my mates that are agents and getting their players in.
No, that's when you say that, it honestly gives me palpitations. And that's what I hope Ineos don't end up doing. We kind of went down that route a little bit where you could tell it was that we were going to agents that we had relationships with and bringing their players in, as opposed to going out and buying what's right. There's a report today, for instance, that's I think they mean it in a damning way towards Man United. They say Liverpool were looking at Ruben Amorim, but they decided that his style of football was going to be too bad, was a bad fit for the club. Well, that's not an insult. That's not an insult to Ruben. You're right. It isn't the right fit for the squad they built. They went and picked a manager and a head coach who was exactly right for how their squad had been built. So they didn't need to do a rebuild. They just needed to get the right head coach to come in. That's what you want. You don't want yes, it's great if a sporting director or a manager has great contacts, but you don't want them just buying players off of mates that are agents. You want them going out there and buying the right players to build the right squad for your football club. And yeah, it's a bit messy, bruv. It's a bit messy, is what I'll say. It's a bit messy.
If you're a player and your agent is Will Salthouse, there is a high chance that we will be interested in you, or David Sullivan will. But yeah, man, like I said, it's disappointing. But yeah, Man City, they can, like you said, maybe they're not, because if they just say if they know they're going to be guilty, right? Say they know they're going to get a big fine. They can afford the fine. I don't know how fines will affect FFP, but if you know they're trying to book at you anyway, do you think, fuck it, like, let's just go out and splash? We're going to lose this case. Let's just go and try and get in top 4, because top 4 is key for their finances.
Yes and no. Let's just paint the hypothetical that they're going to be found guilty of it. If they're just getting if it's going to be like a £50 million fine, they'll swallow that. They'll probably find a way of the owners paying it anyway. But if they're going to be found guilty and they are in real serious trouble, the club is going to feel it for years. If you're talking massive point deductions, it isn't just the fine they'll get. There's the possibility that all of their rivals in that period will sue them. And I think 4 or 5 clubs have already filed to be able to sue them. It's just a case of they will find themselves, and it isn't so much that the Sheikh can't pay that all off, the football club has to. Remember, the Sheikh can't then pump the money into the football club. Because it can, but when it comes to PSR and FFP, it's like a lot of people are asking Man United's owners to pay the debt off. Say we did. Say that Ineos today paid it all off. Yes, we'd make more profit on the balance sheets and the profit and loss accounts, but PSR and FFP wipe that off, because that's profits you're now making through investment from your owners. It's not self-generated money. So if you believe the theory they're not spending because of this court case, it makes sense for them not to if they feel they could be found guilty. It's like you having a few grand in the bank account, but you're like, I might be getting a fine soon for something I've done wrong. If you go and spend it all at Christmas in hope, and then you get the fine, you've got no money left, you're up Shit's Creek. I think, but I don't know if I can't imagine them not signing someone though. That's why I don't believe in that theory.
Will the fine affect FFP? Like, can the owners, because the owners are obviously massively rich, right? So you go, right, you fine us 50 mil, no problem. But they pay that. If they do pay that fine off, then is that in consideration for FFP or profit and sustainability?
So the way I spoke to Kieran McKenna a few weeks back, I just sent him a message saying how much money, because Ineos have put £300 million into the club. And I just said, how much money can they invest? And he essentially said they can invest whatever they want into the club. But when it comes to profit and sustainability, I think it's only something like 90 million over a 3-year period is allowed in the PSR calculations. So for instance, say your owners put in 100 million a year, when they're then looking at your, and let's say you made a slight loss that year, say 5 million, depending on how much money you put in previous. So say the previous year, no money was invested by your owners. Well, that's fine. You made a slight loss, but 100 million came in, but you're allowed to put about 90 million every 3 years. So they might take another 10 million off of that. The next year though, right, if they put another 100 million in and you break even, they wipe that 100 million off because you're over the limit for how much you can invest on a PSR level. So you then would have made, so you still made a 10 million pound loss, but that was after 100 million was pumped in. And that money might have been used to build a new stand, pay off a debt, pay a bank, pay a fine, but it still doesn't calculate enough. That's the way Kieran Maguire explained it to me anyway. So they can do that, the owners, but it will essentially be written off and out of the PSR equation. So theoretically, your club can make profits, but still be losing money on PSR if your profits are generated by investment from your owners. Right. They essentially want to make it where it doesn't matter if your owners are worth 200 billion or £200, that it's about what the club generates as an income as opposed to money being injected. That's essentially what they're trying to do. But there are ways you can do it. You can loan money to the club and then convert those loans into shares. That's what the Nottingham Forest owner has done as an example. That's fine if there's one major shareholder. I think City are in that space. So there probably are ways they can do it. However, that's why, as I say, I don't really totally believe in the theory that fans are pushing, but it's because it's very, very complicated.
Champions League is key then. Top four, they got to get Champions League, so they might have to spend to get the players into ensure top four because then they get that Champions League money. So that's
I get that. I think there's someone says to Terry, he said a minute ago, Terry, you're wrong. They bought shares. They didn't put money into the football club. Are you talking about Ineos? So no, they have. I mean, the owner himself, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, has put 79 million of his own money into the football club. That they've definitely invested money. When he says they're not buying shares, this is exactly what Nottingham Forest owners just done. He's been lauded for it. But yeah, Man United's owners do it, and they're scumbags. Told you, whatever we do, it's wrong. There's some super chats here. It's a marathon, not a track meet. We say not a marathon, not a sprint here in England, but yeah. Stay on course. This team is still learning. This is a needed lesson. See how they respond to this struggle.
Exactly. That's what I'm looking at as well. Good point, Ronnie. All right. You got to make sure that we deal with this adversity correct, bro. Both Maresca and the players, man. I'm watching them closely.
Absolutely. What's up, Terry? How do you get on the panel? You can come on to match reactions and stuff. Reach out to KJ, and we can get you on. And from there, we can build you up onto other shows, my friend. But I'm very well. Dio here. Thank you for the super chat, brother. He says we were second place because Arsenal and City fell off, not because Chelsea were good enough. Sorry, you were second place because Arsenal and City fell off, not because you were good enough. Maresca blew a 12-point lead in the championship last season, just got Leicester promoted. Can I ask you a question on that, right? If Maresca, because I know you spoke about, you were very honest about this when you did your research on him. If he has a second half of the season like he did at Leicester last year, is that a red flag or a learning curve in your personal opinion?
It's a bit of, it depends how, innit? It depends how, like, because if I'm seeing him making mistakes where he's causing it himself, like causing his own mess, like Poch, like playing people out of position, then I'm looking at it as a massive red flag. Whereas if I'm seeing people consistently missing chances, he's setting us up correctly, I've got to look at the players more, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the problem. Last season, the problem we had was missing chances and the team wasn't being set up correctly. You know what I mean? So that's how I kind of look at it. And just to add to this point as well, I don't understand when people have this logic because we don't play Arsenal every single week, right? We played you lot once this season. Everyone else was a different opposition. We had to deal with them without even thinking about you guys. So you fell off because you fell off. You dropped points because you dropped points. That's got nothing to do with us. And we got our W's away from you lot, bro. You know what I mean? So you're just trying to discredit how good we was at that time. And with the past 3 games, we've dropped points. It is where it is, bro.
Jay here says 10 days ago, Chelsea were 4 points clear of Arsenal, and now they are 4 points behind, despite us losing our best player. But CFC Don doesn't rate our squad.
Brother, if you believe your squad is brilliant, that's your opinion. I don't rate your squad. You know what I'm saying? I don't rate your squad. Yeah, I don't rate your left wing options. Your right side, Corn Waneri might be a solution right now. Fair enough. I don't rate Marino. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at your bench. It's meaty. So it is where it is, bro. You've got a good 11, but I don't rate your squad.
This here says we do need your help on Don road to 40 points for United. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we do need you to beat Palace. They're our competitors down the bottom. So yes, I'll be hoping for a win. That's kind of why I want City to beat West Ham. Again, another relegation candidate along with us. Do you know what I mean? Take them points away, please, to get that done. Young players are inconsistent. That's Chelsea's issue, is what Tony says here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can say that, but then we've had some experienced players missing chances as well, bro.
True. There's a super chat for you here, Don. Oh no, I don't want to put it up though. I don't want to put it up. Please don't get offended, Don.
Put it up.
Hazard or Salah?
Bro, Hazard, man.
So can I ask you a question on that? Can I ask you a question? I want to frame it. So it's almost becoming the general consensus now that Mo Salah should be in the debate for EPL GOAT. Mm-hmm. Does that mean if you think Hazard's better, should Eden Hazard be in the debate for Premier League GOAT?
Yeah, but that's a different... What it is, Salah probably has a greater Premier League legacy, I would say. Like if he wins the league, right? That's what the league, Champions League. What else has he won here?
He's won another league. He's won Carabao Cups. I think he's.
I'm talking about in the Prem. I'm talking about in the Prem. He might have, he probably has a greater Prem legacy.
He's won everything. He's won everything as a Premier League player that you can win.
Yeah. I'll probably say he's got a greater Prem legacy than Hazard. But in terms of just looking at them individually as players, for me, bro, listen, people would consider there's a debate. For me, there's no debate when you just watch both of them. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of the legacy, I'll probably say Salah's got a bigger Prem legacy for sure.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So does that, when you talk about it, does that mean anything when you say, oh yeah, like Hazard's just a better baller? Do you know what I mean? Like really and truly.
But Hazard wasn't just a baller, bro. He won things. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, Salah's done more in the league. You know what I mean? Like Hazard was let down towards the end of his time at Chelsea, bro. He was being given garbage to work with, absolute garbage, being asked to do everything pretty much. You know what I'm saying? If you put Hazard in the same system that that Salah's had with Klopp, you just ask him to stay up, he'll get a lot more numbers. Hazard would basically be the best player on the pitch in so many games, and he wouldn't even get GA. You know what I mean? Because he was playing DM. He's on the left. You've seen him on the right. You've seen him as a 10. You've seen him in the 9. You don't see Salah doing that, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, end of the day, you've got to watch how the roles they've both had. They've had two completely different roles, bro. Two completely different roles during their time in the Prem.
Okay, so because I was going to ask you a question actually, and maybe that already answers it, and I'll throw it to the panel. And I'm purely playing devil's advocate here and asking questions. So, because I'm trying to rack my brains. You think Hazard's a better football player, but Salah has a better legacy? I'm trying to think of other examples of a player that has a player A has a smaller legacy, but is considered a better football player than player B. I'm trying to, and I'm not talking about nitpicking between legends. Maybe that's what we're doing.
This is before my time, man. A lot of people talk about what's his name, Letitia. I didn't really watch him much because I was young at the time. Do you know what I'm saying? But a lot of people speak about him being better than a lot of players that have won a lot more than him. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that they're better players, but they've just got a better legacy, right?
Yeah, Harry Kane, I suppose, goes into that category because you could argue he's better than players that have got greater legacies. But Harry Kane won. See, and I don't put Hazard in this category, so I need to specify that. The reason why I play down Letitia and Harry Kane is I never saw them really in title races. In the Prem, we're talking. I didn't see them. Didn't even see Harry Kane in the semi-final win of the Champions League. When I think about like the legends of the Prem, and this is Hazard's in the category, so he's above those two because I've seen Hazard in title runs. I've seen Hazard in European finals. I've seen him do these things. So maybe it is a case of nitpicking here, but that's again, I suppose it's what you view as a football player. That's why I have Drogba, Aguero, Rooney, Cantona, Salah, and I'm missing hundreds of names. Bergkamp,
yeah, right.
Shearer. It's why I have all of them above Kane. ability-wise, he might win some of those arguments. Goal tallies, he might win some of those arguments. But I look at the 4 pillars. I look at sort of longevity and consistency. I look at the trophies that you were integral in helping your team win. I look at the stats, and I look at the ability, and I look at all of those things. And for me, the person that comes out on top across all of them is what I consider to be the better footballer. Once you've retired, that because it's hard to judge a 21-year-old in all those categories. So I just feel that I think on ability you can definitely put Hazard above Mo Salah. But I think when you start looking, again, I'm only talking about my point of view. When I look at all 4 pillars of what I view, I just think to myself, the only one that I would put Eden Hazard above Mo Salah on is ability. When it comes to the output, Salah. The longevity and consistency, I'd go with Salah. And when it comes
to longevity too, though, bro, he just started his career earlier.
But no, we looked at that the other day on the show. At sort of, I think it was at 19. Mo Salah was winning the Swiss league.
Yeah, and I saw Mo Salah come to Chelsea and he was moving like Mudryk, moving mad erratic like Mudryk, trying to learn from Hazard.
He didn't do very well, and Hazard himself bigged him up in that period, and just, I mean, and said that he came and it didn't quite work out for him. But at the same, again, I'm just giving you my view, and Hazard did do very well as a young player, and maybe he started too young, and we know he's admitted himself he didn't have the dedication in training and off the field, and maybe that's why it came to an end. And it's not a dig at Hazard. I think Hazard's amazing. The one thing you won't see me do is slag off Hazard in any capacity. I'm only speaking as I see it. I think he's an amazing player. He's one of the best forwards of his generation. And I say generation, I'm talking the last 15 years of the Premier League, not the first 15, because I don't compare eras anymore. He's amazing. I just think when it comes to the legacy debate, I think legacy is intertwined with how good you are as a footballer personally. And how I view how good a footballer is, it's great doing what Matt Letizia did. And I grew up watching him. He was brilliant. But he never had that pressure of being in title races, Champions League campaigns. He never had that pressure that all of our legends have had. Sorry, Lawless. Us 3 legends have had of competing for Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues at the same time, handling that media pressure, handling those intense games twice a week for the last 2 months of a season. That's why I would never put a Drogba below a Harry Kane as an example, and I just can't do it.
That's think the thing is for me, Terry, right? Even though Salah's got a greater Premier League legacy than Hazard, right? And especially if he wins the Premier season as well, I don't really feel any type of way towards Salah for that. My resentment is towards Roman. But as much as I love Roman, I used to complain about the recruitment all the time. Yeah, Hazard played with bozos towards the end of his time at Chelsea. Hazard and Kante should have won a lot more at Chelsea. It's not spoken about enough. You know what I'm saying? Towards the end of their time, they're playing with guys like Zappacosta, bro. Drinkwater, Morata, Higuain and that. Come on, bro. You're not going to win the title with these sort of guys.
No, I hear you on that. Look, that is an argument. That is an argument to be had. And I always feel with Hazard, where I feel a bit sorry for his fanboys and his supporters. I always remember doing a show when he went to Madrid, and I remember a guy called him, don't remember his name now, and he said, Terry, you just watch. When you see him at Real Madrid, everything, and he had the same complaints as you, that for the last 2 or 3 years, Chelsea had neglected the squad. And he basically said, when he goes to Madrid, you were going to see the best of the best. And we didn't. And I'm gutted about that. I'm gutted that we didn't see the best of him, because it's now it becomes a little bit theory that if he had a better team, you'd have seen more out of him, because he went to a better team and then couldn't stay fit. And it's frustrating that we didn't get the definite, because if he'd have played their matches at Madrid and flopped, we'd have got our answer, wouldn't we? Does that make sense? But because he didn't play, we'll never quite know. Maybe that makes the debate more fun. Here from Nick. Nick says Hazard is better and showed up in the Champions League. Yeah, Champions League wise. Salah. Sorry. Yeah, Salah's Champions League record versus, I think Eden Hazard's only scored about 6 or 7 goals in the Champions League his whole career. That's crazy, you know.
I think 7. Is it 7? Yeah, 7 goals in the Champs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Champions League legacy. It's night and day. Where people discredit Hazard is numbers, but Hazard could win a game without GA. Different.
If you really want to go look at the underlying numbers in terms of performances in individual games, you can find them, bro. You know, and everyone can build their narrative as much as they want. If you want to talk about GNA, you're going to look at Salah, but there's so many things I can show you that Hazard has over Salah as well, bro. You know what I'm saying? In terms of points won for us, bro. This guy is the winner. So many points, bro. You know what I mean? The amount of the matches he's got. I know people are going to say that's quite subjective, but Ronaldo and Messi are not number 1 and number 2 by mistake. You know what I mean? This guy is what, 4th, 5th or something like that on that list? It's crazy. I used to watch this guy so many games, bro. So many games just being the best player and not score or not assist. And I'm not going to forget that. That's what it is, Terry. Performances over time, people forget, right? But their numbers will always withhold time. That's the problem.
And I understand that, different positions, but a lot of people do that to the likes of Paul Scholes and Roy Keane, and the younger generation, because they don't have abnormal stats for the positions they were in. Youngsters go, he was just a long range passing merchant, or he was just Roy Keane especially gets referred to as a bully and a brute. The man was a higher level, technically gifted football player to just one of the best central midfielders in the world for 10 years straight, one of the best in the world at every level, every metric. Everybody rated him. No one had a bad word to say about him the whole time. Not young kids at school, not adults, foreign players, foreign press. 20 years later, because he's a bit of a polarized pundit, he was just a fucking bully. He was a shit footballer. He really fucking wasn't. He was ridiculously good. I get you on that. Salah is in Henri debates. He surpassed Hazard. Come on, you gooners, is what James Solsa.
It's a shame, bro. I wish Hazard was in those sort of debates, but unfortunately, he didn't do enough in the Prem.
Using your logic, Lampard is better than Gerrard and Scholes again. So we're talking. There's differences here. So when I mentioned stats, we were specifically talking about attackers. When it comes to central midfield players, the goals that Lampard scored are a massive feather in his cap. But if you look over the last 5 years, the amount of goals, 7 years, that Bruno Fernandes has scored compared to most central midfield players, most people then wouldn't just say, oh, he's the best in the world then, is he? So when it comes to midfield players, there are other things you look at and other stats that you use to back that up as an example. So different roles require different, there are different things that you look at in that regard. So no, not using that logic, but JJ, I've said that on 1,000 different shows. We're talking about attacking.
Again, that's another one as well. Lampard's got a greater legacy than Gerrard, but you can argue that Gerrard's a better player than him.
That's a good point. That's a good point, to be fair. Very good point. Isn't a race to stay in the Prem just as intense, Terry? It can be, but I'll tell you where it isn't, in my personal opinion. And maybe I haven't been in one, so Lawless has been in a few and been
until this season, Terry. Until now.
I would say this. If we talk specifically about Matt Le Tissier, if Southampton went down with Le Tissier performing or not performing, would the media have crucified him? Would the fans have turned on him? Would his career have hit a juncture where he has to move and change his life like he didn't want to? I don't think so. Relative easy. The same as Kane at Spurs. No matter what really happened, their fans were never turning on him. I think the pressure I'm talking about is, look at this, to use Chelsea as a case in point. Didn't matter how much Drogba, Cole, Lampard, Terry were loved. If they started to underperform the standard Roman set and instilled in those fans, they would have been forced out of the football club. So the pressure to deliver wasn't just to win, it was to keep your spot in the team as you were ousted. And that is what all the big clubs do and always have done when they're at the peak of their power. I feel that pressure is more intense, but Joshua Jack, it's a good challenge, my friend.
There is pressure, because fan pressure as well. There's pressure from the fact of, and we've spoke to many former West Ham players, and they've talked about, if we went down or when we was down, we didn't go up. We're looking around at people in the staff who will be out of a job. People that are looking to us for their future and their livelihoods is on our back, and how much pressure that is. So it's a different type of pressure, but there is high pressure.
I agree. There definitely is pressure. But the Harry Kane example I gave, he wasn't in a relegation fight either. It was just
yeah.
And even Southampton with Le Tissier, I'd have to go and look. I don't know how often they were in the relegation fight back then. I'd have to go back and look. But the amount of goals he scored, I don't think there were many. Salah, I have to go and check. I don't know for sure. Salah fouled at Chelsea when Hazard was there. Yes, he did.
Oh, Salah was so frustrating to watch, honestly. But you could see something in him, but it was just so erratic, like Mudryk, bro, sometimes.
Bale at Tottenham is the example, Terry. Legacy-wise? Yeah, Premier League legacy. He has a much lower legacy and was better. But if you look at his overall career, he did it all. But he did the smart thing. He left the club that he was never going to have a legacy at, because no matter how good he was, he couldn't create a legacy there. And that's why Harry Kane always annoyed me. Where do you put Bale in his career overall? I mean, he's in legendary status for me. The man scored a fucking overhead kick in the Champions League final. That is it's ridiculous. Gareth Bale was amazing. Absolutely amazing. One of the greatest British players of this generation. you could put him in a category in an argument for one of the best exports the country's ever had as well. One of the best performers away. But there we go. Look, I want to thank everybody for tuning into the show. Always a pleasure to sit here and speak football with you all on a Friday afternoon. We're back tomorrow with all the match reactions, so make sure you join us there. Don, Lawless, Staffy, thank you, gents, for coming on. And go and check out HelloFresh now the show's over. 60% discount on your first order. And I can't stress to you enough, you need to try and eat as much healthy and organic, non-processed food as possible. It's so good for you. And this is a very cheap way to do it, a very simple way to do it. And it teaches you to cook. 60% discount. Scan my QR code or click the link in the description below. Until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.